Right, bad enough. I got the patience for songs lately. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hopefully, we'll get a few people in. Dad Knows Best. Welcome to the membership. Thank you. Uber's, where you been? Good to see you, man. Member for 32 months. Welcome. And Libertarian Minded, 23 months. Smashing it. Over 250 members. Absolutely smashing it. Mickey Mouse, Angry Man, welcome. BBA with the gold as well. Come on. Right, I'm going to get a link out. I feel, yeah. What's the word? I don't know. The world's gone mad, hasn't it? Can it get any worse? Can it get any worse? Probably yes. Probably just the start, isn't it? This is probably just the start. Jojo, welcome, love. James, good to see you, mate. Yeah, I think this is just the start. It's all been leading up to a war with Iran. It has. And look at their involvement around the world in all the terror. Horrendous. So it's a very brave decision, and I hope it's successful. Dad Knows Best is going to join us for the evening. Good, good. Do I need a banner? John, you there?
Do?
Oh, you are indeed. Sorry, I just cut you off.
That's all right.
It's I've got another program running in the background that I can't shut down, so I'm hoping it's going to work all right. And it seems to be doing. There's just a little bit of a.
Well, I mean, I have heard that having your Pornhub app running at the same time as Streamlabs is a bit tricky.
It's not. Well, I'm not going to admit what it is. No, I'm not going to admit what it is. It's proper nerdy. But let's just say I'm ranking up. But no, it's not Pornhub, I'm afraid. You need an ID for that. You need an ID for that. Stevie Boy says, I support Iran, just so you know. I've not seen anyone support it. I mean, what do you support about them? If you can tell me the positives about that country.
Yeah, I mean, I love subjugating women and gay people too. Yeah, you know.
I think 5,000 homosexuals have been executed by that regime. So
do you know what made me laugh? Like, and not laugh as in ha ha, but it was just a ridiculous position to hold.
Like
the transgender lobbyists were holding up Iran as as aspirational for the transgender movement, because they would offer gay people the opportunity to either undergo transgender surgery or just be hung from the neck from cranes until crows picked their body cleans over the city of Tehran.
Yeah, or launched off the top of a very high building.
Yeah.
Some horrendous stuff. And Jerry makes a fantastic point. Like I say, it's not the people, not Iran or the Iranians. It's the IRGC, the terrorists that have occupied Iran. And about time they were called what they are.
Well, I mean, Iran in the the late 60s and the early 70s was essentially a Western democracy. Like the pictures and the video footage that was just of the day-to-day life in Iran it's turned into a theocratic nightmare.
Well, it looks like propaganda when you watch it. Like you say, walking around and holding hands. I know what you're on about. I've seen the videos. It's just such a difference.
Yeah. And
do you think, John,
sorry,
you can get back to that? So you're good. Do you think you can get back to that? Because I worry that, whilst I say I wish them all the success, and I would have loved our Prime Minister to have said, whilst I might not have took this decision, I'm going to support it because it's the right thing to do for the world peace. You know, that's what I wanted him to say.
I would hope that it wouldn't turn into another Afghanistan or Iraq. I really would hope. And it does seem that Iran at least has the cultural memory of like the freedoms that they've lost. Like, I mean, my dad, bless him, before he passed away, his position with like the war in Iraq was that whilst I legitimately fell for the trope around WMDs, which is why I at the time was pro, and retrospectively I realized that I made a mistake in supporting it. The fact that Iran does have this cultural memory of having this kind of freedom that has been taken away from them, like it's within living memory. And there does seem
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah.
There does seem
Yes.
to be something there, and in the same way that it didn't
Like
really exist in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah. Something to get back.
Yeah. So maybe it's possible, but what my dad did say to me was, you can't just carpet bomb people with democracy and expect that it's going to stick.
Well,
there
I
is
mean, it's the loyalty. Even if there were, let's say, there were a party in politics, like, well, we've got a party in now. There's a lot of hate for the Labour Party, but if they were getting some shit, you stand up for your country and people. You know, if there was something going on, you still stand up for your own. And I think that's a worry when you start bombing countries, because some people won't interpret it as bombing a regime. They'll bomb it as you're bombing us. You know.
I think my biggest headache right now is that I don't like we can't really know what's going on. Like, I mean, I've seen so much information floating around on social media with that school that was blown to bits. Like, was the school blown to bits? Was it us? Or was it the Americans? Or was it the Iranians that blew it up themselves? Like, I legitimately, I don't know. I do not have, there is so much information, all of which is conflicting.
It's pretty sickly that people were quick to kind of use it as a way to present some other side, like, oh, like a gotcha moment. This is war. This is death. And I won't be showing no clips. I won't be showing no videos of this shit. Well, you know, but you see people latch onto it. They're like, whoa, we got a gotcha. I'm like, hang on a minute. That's a school that's just been. It's disgusting. The people will use anything for.
They will, and it's like when you see the drone footage coming out of like Ukraine, and you're like, how the fuck do I know if that's a Ukrainian or a Russian drone really targeting a Ukrainian or a Russian soldier? Like, the
first victim is the truth, mate, in it, and you've got to really be careful what you believe in it. It's too much at stake. Yeah, they lie to us, and as part of a war tactic, and they would do that, wouldn't they? Libertarian, thanks for the super chat, mate. He says, towards a wind-up radio if it all goes tits up. Someone mentioned the comment before about where they say no to do with us, we're in the UK, but look at the terrorist plots that have been found in this country, and where do they get support from? Where have they originated from? Who's behind a lot of this? So whilst, yes, it's a long way away, but it affects us affects us massively. Do you agree, John?
Whilst I'm not a globalist, I'm a nationalist. I do think that our position on the world stage does have an impact on us. So, at a minimum, like, you can't even be hands off anymore, because like let's say another war occurs in the Middle East that causes a huge exodus of people from that area of the world. A huge proportion of them are going to end up here. Like, it's not like we can be. We're not inert. We're not like boron.
I couldn't support people just deserting the countries all the time.
I wouldn't. Like, my position. Like, people say to me, like, I have the resources to leave this country. I could move my whole family. I just up sticks and go. Like, fuck you. This is my country. I was born here.
That's what I mean. You need rebuilding. Yeah.
This is my, like. I'm not the sort of person that tends to make blood and soil arguments, but the amount of family blood that is soaked into this fucking soil, like, things are going to happen.
That's probably just a human thing, isn't it? That's innate within not all humans. You get this. That's why people say proud to be British. Well, that it's just an innate thing for people. Same as people be proud to be an Iranian.
But it's not even that I want to go. Like, I don't want to go anywhere else. Like, my wife and I were having this conversation a few weeks ago. We were like, you know what, we could just liquidate everything. We could move to Thailand and we could live like kings.
Yeah,
for the rest of our lives. Like, it'd be no problem. We could do it easily.
Interesting, you've considered it and discussed it and decided, no, that we want to stay here.
But like the conversation that we had was, can you imagine spending Christmas in Thailand? What would it be like?
So I spent Christmas in America, and it was very, very different. Whilst we loved it, we had young kids, it was easy. Disney, it was great, but it was not the same waking up Christmas in another country. And it would be even different in Thailand. It'd be even worse, I think. Yeah, it would.
I mean, and that's not to say that it wouldn't be a great country to live in, but it's like it would fundamentally change my kids. Like they wouldn't get what I had. Like waking up on a cold, crisp Christmas morning, like opening the blinds, seeing not even necessarily the snow, just like the fact that it was frosty or whatever. Like the seasons that we appreciate, that like we still go and pick sloe berries, and we make our own gin, like sloe gin, stuff like that. It just like that.
What
That's
did you
something.
pick? Did you say? I thought you said strawberries, but you didn't, did you? What did you say?
Sloes. So sloes. We make sloe gin. It's sloes. They're a type of berry that grow on. I can't remember what the plant's called now.
Every day's a school way around here. So this is how you make free gin.
No, so gin is basically like a high proof alcohol that's been infused with some kind of fruit or herb or something.
Gin. I mean, I know what. Well, I've seen.
Yeah, but mostly. So we make a. So we buy like cheap gin, and we make it taste much nicer by infusing it with sloe berries. And
you're just too
posh. It's like a really fruity, like flavored. Yeah.
Right.
But
so you buy the gin and you get these berries. And right.
Yeah. But so I've got bottles of sloe gin, which are sitting right now, which we made last year, which we'll drink next year, and this year's gin that we make, we'll drink next year. So
I look forward to sampling this one time. Gin and tonic. I mean, I do enjoy gin and tonic. That's what I'd probably, if I were buying, I'd buy a bottle of gin. But I don't drink, so I won't. I got a shout out to this name, John. I see it in chat. It made me laugh. It says, "Audit this, you tit," or something like that. What worry? I gotta get a laugh out of it. Let's have a look. Oh, it must have been banned. It's gone. Oh, I'd have left him here.
The best name I've heard for the best name I've heard for gin is mascara thinner. So
mascara thinner, yeah.
So it upsets somebody and they end up crying.
Woman's ruin, it used to be known as, isn't it? Woman, I don't know if that's the phrase. Yeah, woman's ruin or something. Gin. Any other? There's sayings for them all in chat. Moss I don't know some. Well, that's a great idea. Make your gin better by hiding it in a brown paper bag.
So no one knows. But the brown paper bag means that everybody knows.
Exactly, actually, yeah. Everyone knows you got a problem. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Iran. So just touching on that, could it be 10 times worse than Iraq? I think we could end up there, John. I think.
Well, the country itself is definitely more capable in terms of its armament.
And 20 years of preparation in response from it after Iraq, knowing what what's.
My gut is telling me that they're going to end up with more problems internally, that they're not going to be able to be too focused externally, and I think that's what the America is hoping for. I'm hoping that they just need to give them a bit of a nudge, and that I think the population internally.
I think they've took out the leader. There'll now be a position of just ruthless aggression, and I think it won't discriminate. I think it's just going to be so reckless. And imagine getting on the bad. I mean, could you just imagine Trump pissed off, saying, and then they're ringing him up while he's sat in his Marilat, and he goes, "Do it!" Oh, you can't. Can you imagine? Just see it now.
I think America is being fairly ruthless in that. I think the calculation is they're hoping that the population that is very dissatisfied, of which there's a large number, with the Orthodox religious people that are in control right now, and I think they're sort of hoping that this will incite them to boogaloo. And whilst the people internally are boogalooing, it will give them all breathing space around the rest of the Middle East. Now that's the cynic in me. The hopeful person in me.
I even know, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. I think.
But the hopeful person in me is that if there is some kind of boogaloo, they'll get some support from the America and the United Kingdom and everywhere else, because it would be nice to have another democracy in the Middle East, and it would be nice for one of them
Yeah,
to be
now
able.
I was listening to few talk shows this morning, and what a charade it would be. So someone just volunteers within the regime and says, "Yeah, we'll strike a deal." And man, look at the opportunity for corruption, and what a crazy situation.
The thing that blows my mind about it is that the Iran in the 70s, like for people that are historically illiterate, don't seem to realize that this was that like Iran had a revolution in, what was it, 1972, and it was a confederation between like bleeding heart liberals and religious fundamentalists, and then when they won,
when
the bleeding heart liberals and the religious fundamentalists won, they're essentially their civil war. Well, then the religious fundamentals killed all the bleeding heart leftists.
Oh, is this
like,
stuff right? This is stuff right. So this is in 1979.
Yeah, 79. Sorry.
So the one as a coalition type situation.
Yeah.
And
so basically there was a load of students that were fed up with the corruption of the government, and there were a load of ultra religious like people on the extreme right that were fed up with the progressivism of the government, and because they both disliked the government that was in power at the time, they disliked it, so they teamed up to fight the government, and they won. And that's how you ended up with the religious government, because then the religious people, after they won power, killed all the fucking leftists.
So I guess and they didn't round them up.
They were literally rounding them up in the streets. They murdered thousands of them. It's historical.
They actually did do that.
Yeah. They used them to take power.
And this has been going on since 1979.
No, that happened in 1979 in the revolution. They joined forces. It's literally the principle of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, right? All right. Yeah.
So they didn't agree with each other on anything, but they disagreed with the government. So they joined together to fight forces with the government. And then after they'd won, the religious extremists went, right, now we've got power.
Yeah, how very dare you? Are you out of your mind?
How very dare you? Yeah, exactly.
How very dare you? Yeah.
And this is kind of what I see happening with the Islamo leftists. You know, like you've got
Islamo leftists in the UK.
Yeah, this is how we end up with like the Queers for Palestine movement. It's fucking insane.
The massive contradictions, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, blue hair, nose ring.
It's exactly the same thing. Like you've got people with blue hair, nose rings, and like with you know, I'm here like protesting with my.
I think we should look past that. I do right, because that tells a lot to me in that they actually don't probably know much, and they just want to fit in, or they've ended up in some social group, or I mean, this might sound so patronizing, but that's how I see a lot of it. It's like most of it's by chance.
You must be familiar with the concept of a useful idiot, Jamie.
A useful idiot, yeah. But I don't pay too much attention to it, because I always think it's everywhere, isn't it? Whether it's a punk or there's a lot of that. And,
yes, but when the grounding principles of when your values are antithetical to the other person's values, but it's just a marriage of convenience, there must be a little part of your brain goes, I might be about to get fucked over here. You know, there must be a little part. Do you know, like when the person that you're teaming up with is advocating for a society that is throwing people who dress, act, and live their lives like you off fucking rooftops.
What were the alternative?
Like, oh yeah, but
do you know the alternative is that not have agreed to work together? What were it going to do?
The alternative is don't work with them.
Yes, but then who's in charge? They would have not. They'd have still been the government.
So I guess my position would be, look, if I was a gay, I'm straight, I'm a white, straight, heterosexual, successful, well-educated person living in
not
the
a
United
dating site, John.
No, well, like I said, and also I'm married, so I'm not looking for anything.
I take that back.
But my point is that I'm a demographic in my own right, and as it stands right now, at least, my demographic is currently in charge because we have the most votes, we have the most money, etc., etc., etc. But the point that I'm making is that if I was like a gay transgender liberal, I would not be looking to like Islam to be like my ally. That would not make fucking.
But that's what I was trying to allude to. That I don't think that's exactly what's happening. They would say all religion would be equal, accepting of everyone. They're not specifically going, well, love Islam and sod everything else off. It's more of a everyone's amazing, type of attitude.
The question is, so let me put it this way, Jamie. If you were to pull a random Protestant Church of England Christian off the shelf, or if you were to pull
a random Church of England Protestant Christian
off the shelf,
right?
Yeah, and I'd just like to poll a random, pick a random person and ask them out of that demographic group, like what their opinion would be of a gay transgender Jew. Or if you were to pull a random Muslim off the shelf.
Oh, you stereotype. You've been extremely judgmental. Now I would have to disagree with you there. I would
ask them what their position would be.
No,
transgender Jew.
And I would say, now this is where I'm going to look. I'm going to have to be strong in it because I would absolutely fight that corner of not a chance, because it's like saying someone's colour of skin would determine how they would think or feel. But that's what it boils down to. All right, and all right, I repeat. Anyone who follows that. Yeah, you said that, didn't you? Muslim. So anyone who follows the faith.
Yes.
Yeah, so you said anyone who follows that faith. But
you can choose what faith you follow, right?
Yeah.
So and I should probably clarify, when I say a Jewish person, I don't mean I'm not talking about like genetic history, because there is.
No, that's what I thought. No, it was specifically when I thought it back. He said religion. So anyone who has that faith in that religion, you're saying how would they judge that person that you put to? How would they feel about a gay transgender someone?
So who is
that you would have strong views on all from because everyone's individual. Angela, welcome up, love.
But Jamie, sorry, super quick, Angela. Welcome, obviously. Nice to see you again. But super quick, Jamie. I'm not making the argument that all people of the Muslim faith have that opinion. I have a friend.
They would have a stronger negative view than someone who's not.
I think it's more likely.
Yeah, I got it.
They would have a negative opinion. I'm not saying that they all do. So I have a friend. His name.
If we accept that, right? If we accept that,
so there are ridiculously Orthodox Jews that would have just as abhorrent opinions of that person as a Muslim would, but frankly speaking, given like the Pew polling data and stuff like that in the UK, the Jews and the English Protestants are not the fucking problem right now. Like, I do not want to import religious orthodoxy. It took us a great
bit late for that, John. Bit late for that. We've got many cultures now in the UK. Many cultures. Whilst it's insane. I want to try and say what I want to try and summarize what you want to say. I think because you're not wrong in sense what you're saying. It's that there's something fundamental about terror and people getting so fanatical about it, sometimes due to religion. Yeah, there is something like going on. But that's what I'm trying to avoid while still acknowledging it's not racist to call out terror. It's not racist to call out terror. That's just not. And then if you look
also, I don't like when people like if I point out a particular part of somebody's characteristics that is immutable, i.e. something that they have no control over, like the color of their skin or something like that, then that would be completely abhorrent, and I do not do that. I don't agree with that. That is scummy behavior. But when it's something that you have control over, i.e. the values of the religion that you choose to adhere to, that is on you. And I'm not gonna. I won't take like, oh well, yeah, but it's part of their culture. No. Fuck that.
You can't say all that without us being
at some point. You have to take responsibility, for the values that you advocate.
Do you know what we're going to end up? If now this, I'm interested to see what chat thinks, but I'm going to say it. So I remember seeing or something, whatever. When I got you bed, I'm going to bring you on it. Football. Were getting banned from European Cups. England couldn't play in, well, not allowed to play due to the violence of some of the fans. So I thought of this. Do you know what I mean? You what, Angela?
And was it not due to the fact that there was a lot of like racist things being said to certain people on the pitch?
No, that's happening as well. Sorry. But there was a time when jumping when in the 90s. The government were literally not wanting they were wanting them banned because it were causing that much trouble in other areas. You know what the football were causing in Europe, for example. So my thinking was, so everyone had to suffer because of the violent few. So if people are coming from other countries and there's something violent going on, then everyone's going to have to pay. Then everyone has to somehow deal with that. Does that make sense? Yes.
So, but was it justified to prevent all of them from entering a city during a football game in order to prevent the few from causing the grief?
No, it's
given that they didn't live in the city in the first place.
They were like trade deals going on, negotiations. Excuse me, negotiations were really this sporting event were affecting more serious issues within government.
But would it have been?
Tell me more.
Would it have been? Let's say like.
I want to bring Bear on, John. You cut you off.
Well, no. I mean, but let's say that like like one football team is like they're playing away and they've got hundreds of fans descending on another city, and every time these fans descend on the city, despite the fact that it's only a small number of these fans that actually get violent, would it be reasonable for the host city that's hosting the game to go, you know what, if you don't have a ticket, you're not coming in?
Yeah, too right. It would be. If they can't behave, if someone that can't behave will ruin it for the rest of them too, right? Until they behave.
Yeah, exactly, Angela. Yes, they're spoiling it for the people who want to integrate. Can we welcome Bear Britain Audits? Welcome, Bear.
Hang on, I was agreeing with them.
Big up, Bear, lads. Says Big Six. We can't hear him. Might not be him.
He has a problem with mic, doesn't he? I think first time or something.
Does he?
Yeah, normally. Sometimes.
Yeah, God, they pay people to not be able. Oh, definitely, Marty. Definitely.
Well, I do wonder where all of these very highly coordinated signs come from, like in very short order. Like somebody's paying for them, really.
Oh yeah, Britain First. I think they had 2,500 flags. You mean like that? Like where the hell? No one turned up with a flag, did they?
Yeah, on both sides. Like in both directions.
A sea of the flags. I know where they came from. They came out back at Tranny because they had 2,500 of them with sticks on.
Like so. Yeah, and the Palestine flag, the same. Like on October 8th, there were hundreds of people marching around London wearing T-shirts that had like paragliders on them. I was fucking disgusted at that. like Israel hadn't even responded yet. There was no indication of what Israel's response was going to be. It was like there were still people bleeding to death and like young girls being raped in the street, and these guys were marching around with these t-shirts on that was celebrating it. It's like,
apparently universities have been mourning this guy's death today in the UK. I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, look,
anyone
years under that one regime.
Well, let's put it this way. There's one of the retired leaders of Hamas is currently living in a council house in London, despite the fact.
No, wait, hold on a minute. No, you got it wrong now. It's the son of one of the people that were part of Hamas who fled because he didn't want anything to do with Hamas.
Well, if that's the case, I will apologise. But I didn't think that was the case.
That's what you know what fucking pisses me off, right? When people come out with like all this.
Well, yeah, but I do sound a bit sceptical at the story. It was like 14
when he came here, Jamie. It was like 14, something like that.
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way: if what I understood to be true is true, fuck him, get him out of the country. If what you understand to be true is true, then okay, fine, fair enough. But at the same time, I'm still not convinced as to why he's here, because I think we've got indigenous people that could probably do with that house. So, like,
the apple don't fall far from the tree, as they say. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful.
But then look at that. You can't have that, man. Because
I'm just. I need to
come on, seriously, because then that's like saying, oh yeah, well that person over there who went and committed that offence against that woman. Well, look at the son. Do you know what I mean? Well, they're going to do the same thing. Put them in prison now, then you're all right. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, come on, be real, guys. Come on, fucking hell, this country's backwards at the moment. I've never known it to be so backwards.
So backwards.
1 second.
Well, I was just about to ask Andrew in what way, like. I mean, I think I agree, but
sorry.
No, it's fine, Andrew. I was just going to ask him in what way is the country backwards? Because I was just disagreeing with you, but like I agree with you that the country's got its arse on about its face. So, in what way is the country backwards?
I just feel like we are going backwards in the sense of instead of going forwards and progressing with so many different things, the economy, with the world going forward, with so many different things. We want to be going right now. That's it. We want to close our borders. We want to become just a kingdom where we can't feed ourselves. we can't defend ourselves. Do you know, all them things? We just can't do it. It just seems like, and we want all these people out of the country. We want to leave the human rights. We want to be, and I'm just like, nah, come on, guys, really. It's lazy behaviour.
So I guess my fundamental question is: do you think that we have the capacity to govern ourselves? Do we need Europe to give us some kind of overarching legal infrastructure around human rights?
Absolutely. As human beings, absolutely, because they're our rights, not the government's rights, they're our rights.
So you think the EU has the best conception of what is human rights?
No, I'm not saying European Union.
No, John, don't, because we know that this were a collective of people that come up with these rules, you know, and he want the EU that is this unity. This we were involved, you know, with all of it.
So, Angela, my conception of what what is a human right? A human right is exerted in the negative. So, what I have as a human right, the rights that I have, are by virtue of being left the fuck alone. So, the rights that I have, i.e., the freedom of speech, the freedom of autonomy, are that they're what I get if nobody else interferes with me. Like somebody else has to expend calories.
Nobody interferes with them is the government agencies there, isn't it? It's the government bodies, not anyone else, not a public person, not anyone else within the country. No. It's the government bodies.
No,
wait, hold on. No, it's the government bodies. It's the police, it's social services, it's anything to do with the government and them interfering with your life. It doesn't mean like me coming up to you and being like racist towards you, That's nothing to do with it. Yeah, it's the government figures, government bodies that if they come along and impeach on your human rights, that is when you go and take them to court. And then if we don't go in this country, that's where we can go and take them.
Exactly. It's being used to hold the councils to account for neglecting care homes. It's being used to a whole. There's a whole list of examples of where.
But you're talking.
You're talking though as if we've got it all going so superb in this country that no one needs holding to account. Where do you go when it's your own government that's failing you? Where do you go when it's your own social services department who's been paid and funded by the government? Government's done their job. They've allocated the funding. The government's doing it right. But then when it's lacking, then you can look at a human right and you can go, actually, I've got a human right here. And I'll tell you
Jamie,
what. But no, I'm just trying to get you to see it. Why the really important
I get it.
from a person perspective, yeah.
No, I do get it, but
you don't need to then start ripping that up to get a government in power, which can get something about itself, get some oomph, and start getting things done. You don't need to rip up European rights to do that. You line the Navy up on channel there, ding, 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 ding. You don't need to rip up human rights for that. You make this constant connection. You don't need to rip up human rights to deal with it. It's kind of a.
So I've clearly done a piss poor job of explaining of what my conception of a human right is here. So my conception of what a human right is what you get when nobody else interferes with you, and it is your duty in exchange for not being interfered with by anybody else that you don't fuck about with other people. So I leave you alone and you leave me alone. And my human right is essentially 100% indifference. Like, I just want to be left the fuck alone and to not be messed with by other people. Now, we obviously collaborate as a species, but what is intrinsically a human right is my right of free speech cannot be messed with if you don't try and infringe upon my free speech, right?
That's a human right, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Welcome,
my freedom of autonomy cannot be messed with if you don't try and mess with my autonomy. And my duty in exchange for receiving this human right is to also reciprocate and to not fuck about with anybody else. So if I don't mess with your free speech and you don't mess with mine, by virtue of doing nothing, i.e. it is a right in the negative, we both get free speech. I have to expend effort to try and suppress your free speech, right? So if I
because
expend no effort in suppressing your free speech,
you can't suppress my free speech. The government can suppress my free speech, and if they try to do that, then I can take them to the Human Rights Court. Yeah,
no, can you?
Under which article? A government is a collaboration of people, right?
No, the government are the body in which we are allowed. So, oh my God, the Human Rights Act, in force since. October 2000, incorporates the European Convention of Human Rights into UK law. It protects fundamental rights such as life, liberty, and fair trial. So if you don't want a fair trial, get rid of it.
Don't get too stressed, Angela, because you've been here before, and you're right. But is there? Because I don't think anyone would want to. Once they know what some of these articles are about, no one's going to want to get rid of those. That's not. I don't think that's what's truly an argument. It's the people that are abusing them and accessing them.
Also, I don't think you understand what a human right in the negative is, Angela.
Oh my God! Can you what I do and don't.
Hang on, I don't either. A human right in the negative. Let me, in fact, hold that
human
thought.
Right in the negative.
We're going to a human right in the negative. 1 second. I want to bring Bear back
negative rights.
Yeah. Bear Britain, welcome, mate.
Evening, bro. You can
like a parking
ticket.
Quickly, I would suggest you all Google quickly what a
hang on.
Is, a negative human right is.
Right. Bear might know. Bear, do you know what a negative human right is?
I don't actually. I'd like to be enlightened there.
We've got Ray, Mr. In Between. Welcome up, mate. Welcome, Ray.
Hello, mate.
Hello. Can you help us out with a negative human right?
Yeah, I can actually.
Go on. Take the floor, Ray.
So negative human rights, as I understand it, and I can only tell you from where I'm coming from, is anything that is the detriment to someone else but you are exercising your right. So your right to say, I don't know, take a picture outside someone's house. It's a detriment to the person who's having their picture taken in their house that doesn't want it taken. That's how I understand it. I could be wrong.
No, so a negative human right
Is he wrong, John?
So the concept, like, whilst I don't disagree with the principle, a negative human right is what you get to do as a human if nobody else interferes with you, and the duty that corresponds with that human right is that you don't interfere with another person.
I think that's not really a human right. That's just a social responsibility. That's like an agreement, isn't it?
That is the lowest possible standard of human rights. So the reason that I have free speech is because you don't try and inhibit. No, but if you don't try and inhibit my free speech, I have free speech, and the quid pro quo is that I don't try and inhibit your free speech for any reason. I don't try and inhibit your bodily autonomy.
Okay, right. So Don has done a little bit of research.
My bodily autonomy.
Are you talking about
quid pro quo? But it's and the reason that it's human right is because it doesn't require any action on anybody else's part to facilitate it. Like if broadband is a human right, then I'm requiring somebody else to build the infrastructure.
No, but broadband is not a government body.
What the fuck?
We have free speech.
Are we talking in some kind of riddles tonight?
But you understand that in order for me to have free speech,
I don't understand, because the broadband company is not a government body.
But you do understand.
It's not a human right. It's just a rip-off.
No, in order for me to exercise my free speech, you guys have to do nothing at all, right? The government has to do nothing at all. It requires no effort whatsoever. Because if they want to inhibit my free speech, they have to expend energy. They have to deploy legislation.
That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense.
Of course, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
It doesn't make sense at all, because you're completely blurring the lines between it all. If I had to come and try and stop you from free speech, I'd have to come up to you physically and assault you, because I'd have to try and shut your mouth. Yeah.
Yes.
When a government body comes along and stops you from having free speech by stopping you protesting, yeah, that is a government then trying to stop you from having free speech, which is against your human rights.
Angela, so when I said that in order for me to have my free speech, you guys need to do nothing at all, and by you guys, I mean the rest of society, not just you people in this chat, but everybody else. If you do nothing, like just leave me the fuck alone, I get my free speech, right? That's what I mean. It's a right in the negative. Like the reason that it's a negative is that you have to do nothing. I just get it.
And what?
But that's nothing to do with the European Convention of Human Rights.
It's what the European Convention of Human Rights is built around.
No,
They've just added legislation around it.
Human rights is built around our rights as human beings against our government body.
Angela, they've added
not to be tortured by the police. It's the right to a life. It's the right to have a fair trial in front of our peers. It's a right to all of them things. Fuck off with the free speech in front of all of us. That's bollocks.
I don't think you get this at all, Angela.
No, she's just trying to explain to you what her perception of what human rights are.
I completely understand that Angela's conception of the notion.
But we did this for hours, didn't we? Last week or week before, and actually, with me, you, and Angela, it went on all night, and we were arguing and debating exactly this, and we were discussing the whole purpose of what the Human Rights Act was. Can you remember?
Right. So, Angela, let me ask this question: if I agree to not inhibit anybody else's autonomy, and you, as the legislature, agree not to inhibit my autonomy, and I don't break the rules and everybody else doesn't break the rules, do I get my human rights?
That's irrelevant, because it's the government body that has the overall power over our human rights.
Is the government comprised of people, Angela?
That makes no difference whatsoever.
What the fuck kind of a question is that?
I know. I'm actually quite lost, man.
Just being very pedantic and just
Of course,
Just be-
of course, the government and of course the legislators are human. Of course they are. My problem is here. What do you class as a right? Because we've got no initial rights. The only rights we've got are from false doctrine. You know what I mean by that? False doctrine is where, and it's men.
Yeah,
essentially,
I've heard
that
I've heard the Andrew Wilson argument. Yeah,
give. Well, he's completely correct. It's men that give the rights to everyone else, and it's called false doctrine. I can force you if I have enough people behind me and enough power and enough weaponry to do whatever I tell you to do. Whatever rights you think you've got, you haven't got. That's where the government comes in.
It's always been that way as well throughout
Yeah.
history, right?
I mean, it's shit, but
Well-
that's the way human life is.
No,
Yeah,
because like I've said before, we're tribal people, man. Like if you
Yeah.
go back, we're tribal, yeah. So again, it would have been the same thing in a tribe. You're always going to have a stronger character than the rest, or physically stronger, that's going to take lead. That then everyone else is going to. Do you see what I'm saying? So you are
Yeah.
right.
It is such an.
look.
So they have never really existed, rights. Like that is kind of true.
That's a great
Right.
point from Mr. In Between, though. That the whole world's a stage. I think he's basically saying, look, it's,
Exactly.
No,
Rights. Well, rights are a series of agreements that we've come to with a consensus of opinion and polling and asking people what they think, and we all agree to it. But at any time, someone can form a group, get enough people behind them, and say, "Fuck what you want. I'm going to do what I want," and you're going to go along with it.
things
Case
can be
in
changed
point.
as well. Yeah, nothing's set in stone, is it? But
that is,
Yeah.
however, a might makes right argument, right? That's an amoral argument in principle.
But it's the only argument,
Right-
isn't it?
right
Because
to
when you come up
liberty.
with something that doesn't have force
Mm.
behind it, nothing.
I just want to bring a guest on. Big G, is that you?
Big up, Jamie, lad.
Hey up, mate. Angela, I
Yes,
cut you off. What you saying? Jump in, Big G, when you can, mate.
I was
All right,
saying the
pal.
right to liberty.
What do you mean?
Obviously, within like say Mental Health Act and stuff like that. That's a right,
So
isn't it?
What does the
The
right
right
to
to
liberty
thought,
have to do with the mental
freedom
health?
of thought, religion, and belief,
Mm.
freedom of expression, freedom
Yeah.
of assembly and association, no punishment without law. Can you imagine that? Oh yeah, you're going to get
That-
punished first before you actually then get like convicted of a crime.
Angela, they're all rights in the negative.
You are.
They are all rights in the negative.
Angela, seriously, bro. Oh, do you know what? And I'm sure DeWitt would say the same. Me and him don't really see eye to eye on much, but this is nonsense. And life is way too short to be like, honestly, it's like pulling teeth, bro, listening to you. No offense. I genuinely don't mean to be disrespectful either.
No.
So you don't
might
think the right to
we might be
liberty
getting
is to be left the
absolutely,
fuck alone?
bamboozled. You might be bamboozling us, John. Is that what you're doing?
I think
No,
so.
it's not. This is a really like it's a well-known legal and philosophical principle. This is nothing
We're not
complicated.
philosophical. We're not. What do you think we are?
Well, I'm struggling with this. I am struggling with it.
If you leave me alone and I leave you alone, what do we do?
Then, but you're talking as if that's some sort of right.
It's not
That
a
is
right,
the
that.
conception of human rights. That's the foundation of human
Talking about
rights.
criminal law.
You're thinking about legal rights. I'm talking
No.
about what human rights are, not
I think you're
legal
on a higher
rights.
consciousness.
Human
Mm.
rights.
There's no such thing as a human right. Tell me what a human right is.
What do you get to do? I don't mess with you. Like, and what do you do? Like, if you don't
A
inhibit
human
my
right would be you are.
and I don't inhibit your freedom of autonomy, what do
You
you
wouldn't
get
have
to
that
do?
control. Oh my god.
But
Just say that again, John.
it's a quid pro quo. I agree not to mess with your autonomy. You agree not to mess with my autonomy.
So it's not a right then, is it? It's an agreement between two people.
But
Yeah.
that is what is essentially a human right. A
All
human
right, well,
right
let's
is
not
an
get hung up
agreement.
on the word right then. Let's just say, as people, we agree to just leave each other alone. Is that it?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And as soon
What
as
about
like
the
when we introduce,
No?
it does inherently become more complicated. But the reason that it's important is because if somebody tells you that I have Angela, give me an example of a right that you have, right? Do you have a right to medical care?
Oh, she's good. She's not Booper. Guys,
No,
can I
but
bring a
the
Yeah.
question is,
It's
do you have a right to
again,
medical care? Does somebody else so it's an inherent intrinsic human right that you have a right to medical care, right?
Yeah.
You would say
Well-
that's the case.
No, of course not.
Okay,
Not
what, like
right to
so,
lie,
like the
so,
right.
yeah.
So one of them's obviously like the right to marry. Yeah. So having the right to marry.
I'm going to switch hosts. We've got a new host coming on. We've got a new host. I've just got to nip out.
Oh,
You lazy fucking beggar.
oh God.
Even in Mr. Vincent.
Did
the
somebody say human rights?
Oh no.
Vegas like scrap them, scrap the lot of them.
No.
Well, who gives you those human rights, Angela? You're demanding them feistily. Who
them.
gives you them?
Oh,
Who
not
polices them? And who decides which ones you keep and which ones get taken back?
They're made by.
Okay.
Oh,
So it leads me exactly. I needed somebody to say men. Who created the
I
world?
never said men.
Can I
Let's go for the same answer 3 times.
I never said
And-
men. Hold your
and
horses.
What do you mean? Who created
So-
the world? What are you talking about?
Let's do men. And the third and final question would be:
No, let's not do men. Let's not do men. Who created the world? You said men. What are you talking about?
Well, man did.
Man
So
created the world.
yes, of
You'll have
course
to
he
explain
did.
that one. Go on.
Well, you're using the internet, which was created by a man. You're on a
What's the
telephone
internet?
created
World,
by a
is
man.
it?
You sat in a chair, which would have been
Explain-
built by a man, created
Explain
by a
what
man,
you mean-
invented,
Explain
and
what
so
you
on.
mean by world.
So the final
all of
one
the
is:
things
hang on a second, Mr. In Between. With respect,
all
so
of
the
them
final.
wouldn't be here without a uterus.
My
So-
final shot would be, okay, they are utilitarian. So
There's no
my
shot.
final one would
Explain
be,
what fucking things
who else?
by men in the world.
Who else? We're not simping here today, Mr. In Between.
I
Who
don't think
else
you've got simping.
would you wish to administer rights? And we can start from there. Who else?
I would like people, which already happens, from the court and where there are judges from every other country that sit there and look at the way in which we are treated by our own government and say, do you know what? Yeah, they've been fucked around by the British government. So you know what? Yeah, that person's been treated wrongly. Wrongly, is that a word? I don't know. But anyway, and therefore, yeah, they fucked her over. And therefore it then goes in my favour because there's no other court in this country that would do that, is there?
I think you would try every other country and come running back to
No,
the set
no.
of rights that you have available to you in this country
No,
immediately.
because you can go through all the courts in this country and it still not be in your favour. That's why we have as people in this country, because it's the only court that we can take our government to. That
So-
if they put over, like
Yeah,
say
but that-
medically,
That's just one moment in time, Angela. Right now, we are experiencing a crisis in terms
I
of
agree.
our human rights, in terms of freedom of speech, not expression. You can express what you wish. And when John goes on about those intrinsic rights or the negative human rights, however he wishes to play it, there are a whole set of undesirable actions which he can also exercise as one of his intrinsic rights. Somebody needs to police it, Angela.
I agree. I'm not disputing that.
So, Vega,
Yeah, I don't get what the
whilst,
point
whilst
is
it
there.
does, whilst it
I
does
don't
seem
either.
that
I'm
you've
actually
understood-
lost, man. Feel like we're in a
Whilst it
dystopian world
understands
right now.
Vincent,
Vega-
what's your point?
Maybe
Vega,
I'm
whilst it
uneducated.
understands, whilst it does seem that you have understood what a negative right is, i.e., what the ground
Oh,
state
for
of being
fuck's
is,
sake.
and I do agree that people need to police it. My point is, when the reason that a negative right is the only right that really makes sense is because it doesn't require any input from anybody else in order for you to actualize it. So the reason that I asked Angela about, like, do you have a right to healthcare, is because somebody else has to expend energy. They have to give over their bodily autonomy to give you healthcare. And if they chose not to do that, you have no right to say that they must.
Well, I think where Angela
Which means it's not a fucking right.
Well,
The
where
only
Angela,
right you have to ask of other people is to be left alone.
where
That's
Angela,
the only right you have to ask.
Blimey.
No, well, it
John-
depends.
John's
That's
got more
a-
confident these
Yeah, but
days, Bear.
That's a nuanced question, that, mate. You don't have a right to be left alone if you've done something wrong. If someone finds out that, say, someone's a kiddie fiddler, you don't have a right to be left alone then.
That's
No, but
not in
they're-
dispute.
No, but
Well, he's saying
they're
that
breaching.
to be left alone is the human
No,
right.
but
I'm saying.
Mr. In Between,
God, guys.
they do not have the right to breach somebody else's bodily autonomy. They should leave the other person alone.
So if someone's a criminal,
Yeah.
someone else, and they're now just being left alone. Someone's done something wrong, and they've been left alone now. We should accept that they should be left alone, and no one else should do anything
No,
about it.
I didn't say that.
That is what you're saying, though.
It's an intrinsic right. If somebody else,
It's not an intrinsic right. What are you talking about? An intrinsic right?
No,
You've got no intrinsic rights. You've got zero rights. Zero. You haven't got any rights whatsoever. Your rights depend on me doing something or not doing something.
But
You
he
depend on me.
stated
No, no,
clearly,
no.
as long
In
as
the
he
negative.
didn't, as long as
Oh
he
my god,
didn't
this guy said
affect
negative
anyone else.
one more fucking time, man.
Yeah, drop the negative, John, because that's the
It's a non-
confusing
it's a
bit.
non-argument. I don't know what the point is of saying.
Like
point.
if we don't expend any energy trying to infringe anybody else's rights, that's what a negative right is. It's a lack of action on anybody else. So you don't have a right to action in the positive or the negative of anybody else, right? So if somebody tries to breach your rights to freedom of speech, then in order to facilitate my rights of freedom of speech, I would prevent to stop them from exerting your rights to freedom of speech. But
Hang
the
on then.
only reason that would be necessary is if because somebody now they're expending energy trying to prevent you from exerting your natural rights
You ain't got any- what natural rights do you think you've got
to be left alone.
to be left alone? You haven't got a right to
That's
be left
it.
alone.
Be left alone.
You have a right to be left alone. You're actually you're not even making any sense at this point.
You haven't got a right to be left alone at all. No one's got
So
that
what?
right.
You just pointed that out before, Mister In Between. He said I didn't say that. So and then just gone and said
No,
it
but-
again. So you're saying that your right is to be left alone. And if anyone does that, if anyone doesn't leave you alone, then that's infringing your
No.
right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's practically what people are going to do. I'm saying it's the only conception of human rights that makes sense.
Bro, no offense to you, yeah. I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Peter Pope, but listening to you is like listening to Peter Pope when he used to go on about common law, bro. It's dribble. It's dribble. No one understands what you're saying. You're saying it in the most like, I don't know.
It doesn't
Bro,
matter.
just leave it.
just doesn't
Leave
make
it alone.
sense.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's
If-
not that all in that important.
Okay, let me put it this way. If you were to try and infringe upon like my personal autonomy, I would obviously defend myself. And if I saw you trying to defend on somebody else's personal autonomy, I would try to defend them. What I'm saying
Right,
is,
he's
it's,
got his right. He's got his right to try and do whatever he wants to do.
This has got to do with human rights.
Fucking outrageous.
John, I feel that you're over egging this, and you're not really helping people to understand what you're trying to get at. I kind of have a rough idea, but what you're saying that you have the right not to be bothered with. So why would you be responding to anyone? Why would you put yourself in a position where your rights would be impinged? Why wouldn't you just stick with I have a right to not be bothered? The
problem, it's how we conceptualize what a right is.
Do you expect to stand? Okay, John, let's do it simply. Do you expect to stand in the middle of a busy town centre at sat in a chair drinking a cup of coffee and not to be bothered? Are you exercising your human rights there? No.
For the most part.
No, because the beggars will approach you, the crackers will approach you, maybe a woman will approach you. So effectively, if you wish to not have your human rights impinged on in any way whatsoever, you should make some efforts to ensure that happens, which is near on impossible.
But you do understand that what I'm talking about is the conceptualization of what a right is. I'm not talking about what it's slightly different from what practically
Who
happens
gives
on a
you
day-to-day
your
basis.
rights, John?
Nobody gives you your rights.
Yes, they do.
Men give you your
Men
rights.
They do. Who gives you your rights?
Men.
Well, in the purest sense, I guess I give myself
In every
my
sense. In every sense, men give
You
you
don't
your
give
rights.
yourself your rights because that implies that you can decide which rights you have, and you don't. You have a very set list of rights that are available to you.
Right.
Very basic
So
set.
is a right legislated
Yes.
and only ever legislated?
Well, no, of course not. But many are. Many are.
Human
Your right to
rights
defend yourself, your right to guard your home, your right to call anyone whatever you wish. It's all
So somebody could
legislated.
legislate those rights away from you.
Yes, of
They
course.
are.
Each
That's what
one,
you're-
each one
you're
can be
thinking
taken
about
away
human
from you at any point. In fact, judges take all of your rights away, John, whenever they wish, based on your behaviour.
So you don't believe in intrinsic human rights, then? You just
Well,
believe in legal
no,
rights.
you do have intrinsic rights, but you can.
Okay, so explain
sacrifice
to
them.
me the difference between
Right.
right. So Vega, explain to me the difference. Since a judge can legislate my rights away from me and an intrinsic human right, explain the difference between the two.
Well, an intrinsic human right is your freedom to roam, but a judge
Right.
can remove that quite simply.
So
So
none of it. I'm just thinking. I wanted to jump in there and say, can you tell me a right that is not legislated and written down? Yeah, I don't think you
your
can.
right to breathe oxygen, your right to admire
It's not a right, is
trees.
it? That's not a right.
Well,
It can be taken away as well by legislation, apparently,
Well,
because
of
you can be
course
put in a
No,
gas
I
chamber.
wanted
in
to,
some countries.
because with all these questions that you're throwing around, it's quite easy
can't,
to
because
answer.
that is it's done right to life.
Politicians are collectively coming up with these rights. The human rights was a panel of people come together
Correct.
to put that to prevent atrocities happening that have happened in the past. We did this for hours the other night. It's there to try and protect people, and it's done a really good job for what it was set up to do, because we've not had a European war since, have we? We haven't.
He just turned around at me and said, well, we haven't got the right to breathe or anything because we can get put in a gas chamber. Are you fucking for real? What do you think, like, the right to life and the right not to be tortured is?
Freedom from inhumane and degrading treatment, Article 3. This is just an example. A woman with multiple sclerosis, Jan Sutton, used the act to challenge a local council's inadequate care, left her bedbound. It is also used to protect vulnerable people in care homes from neglect. The right to life, Article 2. Families of patients who died at a Mid-Staffordshire hospital used human rights arguments to secure a public inquiry into neglect. That's amazing. So there's a hospital failing a whole town. Where do they go with it? They go to the human rights and go, hang on a minute, we've got a right to life. When you're ill, where do you go? You go to the hospital, and we've got a right to life. They're not. There's clear failings.
Don't. You have a right to treatment.
Well, no,
You
we
don't.
don't. We have a right
You
to
don't.
life under Article 2
You
of the
don't.
human
You have a
rights.
right to treatment. You have a right to fair treatment. You don't have a right to successful treatment.
No, you don't.
Inadequate. If treatment that you receive is inadequate, then we could argue that then they've sent it the other way. That's not positive. It's negative, John. Negative. It's a negative outcome.
What if you need a heart transplant and they carry it out successfully, but still you perish?
But that's not what happened, is it? We're talking about how the Human Rights Act was used, and families of patients who died. Families of patients who died at a Mid-Staffordshire hospital used human rights arguments to secure a public inquiry. That suggests to me, if there was a public inquiry as a result, then there was some serious neglect going on, because there's some right shit state of hospitals that you don't
Why
see.
do you think? Why do you
don't
think
see
that legal
public inquiries, though, do you?
No, but why do you think? Of course not. Why do you think that legal case failed?
What legal case?
Could be a number of reasons. Could be a number of reasons that case failed.
Because it would open a massive hornet's nest for abuse
Oh,
up
great
and down
point.
the country.
He's saying it's corruption anyway. It's an all charade.
It's not corruption. It's it's
protecting what
piss
matters.
poor
is
employment, piss poor training, piss poor techniques,
Yeah.
piss poor treatment, across the board. Humans fail. Humans fail, and there has to be. The book has to stop somewhere. So you can't just keep blaming.
No, it's not blaming. It's wanting to not lose those rights, because there's some really good examples where them protections have kept us own services standards up. They increase standards, not reduce standards, in terms of safety, food, health, just across the board. And there's also an argument that, yes, get rid of them by all means, but when they say this, they also know that they would have to come up with a British right. So you say, what would we need all these rights for and shit? Well, they'd be only writing, they'd be just copy and pasting all that shit in the same.
We have British rights. We have a British rights, Bill of Rights.
Well, you're saying that, but I thought, no, we don't, because we rely on the European ones at that standard.
That's our
Yes,
British
so
Bill of Rights.
Oh my God.
So they just want to call them British instead of European. What? Wow.
No, but
You know what the problem is? The problem is when you can have any rights you want, you can have the European human rights, you can have British human rights, you're always relying on the people who are enforcing the rights and who are going to listen to the people who've been trod on. That's always going to be your main problem. That's always going to be your starting point. The people that are dishing out the rights and saying, you've got a right to life, you've got a right to healthcare, if they're not listening when something's failing, that right is null and void. It doesn't matter.
Well, you're right there, and in the sense that rights don't stand up in court. Legislation stands up in court. So if there's legislation which protects you, you're dandy, fine and dandy. If not, you're fucked.
Hold on a minute. No, do you know what? With right to life, right to life, it was more of, say, a woman, for example, has got the right to life, say, and then, with domestic abuse, domestic violence, There was one. The thing about the European Convention is the fact that it's a living system. Therefore, it's changing all the time. New cases get brought to it all the time, which then can apply to us if we ever need it. If you have just the British one, we're stuck where we are. That will never change, and therefore, any new things that come about.
Are you still pro EU, Angela?
Are you, Angela? Are you?
Stuart's farmer, isn't it? She loves the EU.
It's in the blood, isn't it?
Right, Angela.
I bet.
You
don't
understand what English common law is? It's built on precedent. Like, Jesus, it's the most dynamic version of law.
Oh, don't bring him into it. Don't bring him into it.
It's what the European legal system is built on. It's what the American legal system is built on.
No.
It is built on precedent, Angela.
It creates precedent.
So, Angela, so if we had a ECHR and we have a GBHR, right?
Yeah.
What trumps the ECHR over the GBHR? Why should it trump?
Because it's a living system. I'm not saying we shouldn't have a GB one. My point is, though, with the ECHR, we've got all the different European countries that are part of it, and therefore, so there was one, I think, from I can't remember, some other country, like, I don't know, France, Turkey, wherever, and then it's to do with domestic abuse, and there was another one to do with a rape case, whatever, and that went to court because their government, their policing, whatever it was, refused to take their case seriously, so they had to fight it through their own courts, their Supreme Courts, everything like we've had to here, and then take them, the police, the government, whatever it was, to the European Court of Human Rights to be able to go, you know what, we've been treated unfairly as citizens or as a person, and then that's been set as a precedent in that European court. That then applies to every country that wants to use it. We don't have to use it, but it's a living system, so therefore it's continuously growing. That, to me, I don't see. Whereas if we had a GB one, we're stuck. Do you know what I mean? It's not growing because we then can't be using any other new cases that are from the EC, like from the European Convention one. That's the only thing I see good from it.
So the reason that I have an issue with this entire the concept of it is that the reason our legal system should be a product of our democratic system. Would you agree with that, at least?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
The what? Go on.
Should our legal system be a product of our democratic system? I.e.,
it already is. It already is.
Yeah, that's what I say. It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So in the UK it is, but if we have countries which have a totally different democratic system that are importing legal principles into the ECHR that we then have to abide by, they're not a product of the votes of the British public, are they? It's non-sovereign.
The problem is with that. When we were part of the EU, we signed up to adhere to what they said was the ruling at the time, with whatever you're talking about, whether that's immigration, whether it's healthcare, whether it's all that kind of stuff. When we left the EU, or sort of left, because we haven't really left, have we? We give up sort of some of those rights to go along with the ECHR, and we never had something to fall back on. I was talking to Bear about this the other day, about the constitution of the UK. We haven't really got one. We haven't really got a constitution. We've got a set of parameters and a few little things that we go along with, but that's about it.
No, we have, but like the human rights is just more like.
We've got a living. We've got what's called a living constitution. It's not a written constitution. So I would agree with you.
Well, it's like a load of things under one umbrella, basically. So just like your human rights is just one aspect of the constitution.
So given that principle, was there a categoric vote to join the EU when we joined the EU and subsequently ended up joining the European Court of Human Rights, which there was no discussion on whatsoever? That was just done by a government.
When we voted the government in, we gave them a mandate. When we joined the EU, when we voted that government in, we gave them a mandate to say, we're going to trust you with running the country and doing what's in the best interests of the UK. And
agreed.
So we did do that. We gave over our right to have a say in it.
So when we voted for Brexit to leave the EU,
yes,
was that more categoric than when we gave them the mandate to join the EU?
It was more direct because we were asked a question of the government thought it was so important to ask the UK citizens about that they said, we will put it to you, and it was more important, yes.
Yeah, and whilst I agree that it wasn't specifically about the ECHR, I would agree, I would argue at least, that is a more direct query to the British public. Now, we're either a democracy or we're not. If we're a democracy, then you should kind of do what the people fucking say. Now, I would also argue that when governments get voted into power on, I don't know, by the things that they say they're going to do, when they fire something at you out of left field, it is more justified in going, well, I didn't mean that, than if they said they were going to do it. So if the British government in their manifesto pledges when they get elected say that they're going to do A, and then they do A, it's a reasonable expectation that they do A. But if they didn't tell you that they were going to do B, and it had massive constitutional implications for the country, and they fucking do it anyway, that it's not unreasonable for the voting public to go, well, we didn't really mean for you to do that. And that wasn't anticipated.
That's why we have elections, mate. That's why we have elections every 4 years. We have elections
4 years.
To say that we don't like what's going on, but we agreed that we'd give you a try for 4 years. We agreed that we'd put you in power for 4 years. The democratic process was done, and you've got 4 years to either make us great or fuck us up. But at the end of 4 years, we'll decide if you're going to stay in power or not. That's the agreement that we've got. The British people and the government, that's the agreement that we've got. So that's the best you're going to get. You're not going to get a vote on everything. That's what we've got MPs for.
No, I'm not advocating for direct votes.
Do you think they can just come along and that's it, want him out now? It's like, nah, that isn't how we do things. That isn't politics. It's never been politics, and just got to suck it up. At the end of the day, how long does it take to get legislation through? About 18 months, 2 years. So you know what? Doesn't matter who comes into politics, who comes in next time. They're still going to have the same 2 years, same bullshit again. So it's never ever going to be how people are wanting it. No one's going to come in next time and just fix it overnight. It never will be. It's never going to happen. Not ever. So
the main problem I've got with the ECHR is our judiciary system is constitutionally independent. They are our laws, our legislation. We should not be trumped by the ECHR. Because to the point that John made earlier, there could be a law that is created somewhere else, let's say Turkey, for example, that doesn't fit in with our democratic system, and we would be that human rights or ECHR would overrule our own judiciary system.
It doesn't overrule anything. We have the democratic right to ignore any ruling from the ECHR, and many European countries do so. We're one of the few countries that follow the doctrine of the ECHR to the letter.
Well,
and to go back on what Angela said earlier about the European contribution part of the ECHR, the only reason we're talking about it here now is because we know the ECHR is instrumental in catapulting millions of Africans and Muslims and foreigners into this country. That's why we're talking about the ECHR now. We're not worried about the standard width of a tyre driven in Europe. We're worried about that part.
That's the reason that people are here as such. It's the reason...
Well, if anyone can name one ruling by the ECHR which happened within Europe that is of any importance to the UK, please.
There's
just one, Angela. Just one, you being our expert, EU.
In terms of legal and manufacturing standards, there's almost none.
No, this is not true. This is absolutely not true. Food standards, I would be looking and we get on Google and be food standards.
Exactly, you've got to Google
that'll get you some belters.
So the Danish bacon. Oh well, yeah, all that Danish bacon with their high standards of animal welfare.
Yeah,
they're currently ignoring.
Not to be tortured, yeah. So a police
can't be advertised on English TV anymore.
Relationship, yeah, where you're getting battered to fuck by your partner, you're getting abused and whatever, and the police don't take you seriously. The police don't do nothing. They don't protect you or anything.
Yeah, they do, though. But they do. They take it very serious. All forces.
Oh yeah, of course they do. Yeah, but anyway,
they don't, mate. They don't. Not all forces, no.
No, they don't give a fuck, man. They know they don't. And so, and if you do, the highest court you can go to in this country is the Supreme Court. Yeah, so then what? You lose it at the Supreme Court as a human being.
How higher do you need to go, Angela?
As high as you need to go, because it's your human right not to be.
As high as you need to go to get the result that you want.
The Supreme Court is the end of the line.
Hold on a minute. If your partner tried to kill you and the police do fuck all about it, do you not think you've got the right to life, a right not to be tortured?
No, obviously you do, Angela. But we're talking about a legal adjudication here, which has a burden of proof to it. I am not advocating for anybody being beaten. Obviously, that is not the case. But you don't just get to keep going up to a higher court and a higher court and a higher court until you get the result that you fucking want. Because he has the right to do the same thing, you daft fuck.
Well, no, let's not insult. Not insult. There's different lines of approach, isn't there, to different types of complaints. If it's a human rights complaint to the European Convention, specific articles. Sorry, what? But I'm saying that specific articles. If one of them has been breached, then you have a right to make that claim. But if you have a complaint against a specific force, then no.
So it's a difficult one, Angela, because just simply saying he tried to kill me is a difficult one to prove in a court of law.
No, because hold on a minute, no, because you've got to, don't forget, when you've got domestic abuse, that's hard enough to prove that it is. Yeah, everyone knows that. Yeah.
For a solid reason, Angela, because people lie.
You know what?
Angela has got the right to not be insulted. Chat's disappointed in you.
Actually, you know what? In fairness, Angela, I do owe you an apology.
That's a negative emotion.
No, I do legitimately.
It's cool. It's all good.
I do owe you an apology there, but the point is, the point that frustrated me was that just going to a higher court of law, like at some point the adjudication has to stop. Like there can't just be a higher point of law because people disagree with each other. Everybody is going to disagree with each other all the time.
Is this your apology?
So there has to be some kind of legal adjudication. So well, she does also have the right to not be insulted.
Victims, that get abused by the police. You get victims that are abused, and I'm about men and women, that get abused or they get failed by the government systems where they go.
But
Do you know
our
what a lot of these
judiciary
cases?
system can still take our government to and adjudicate against them. It's like I said, our judiciary system is constitutionally independent. It
Do you know
doesn't
what?
favour the
Okay, well,
government.
These
It can't
cases,
have political bias within it.
but it
these
does. We know it does.
these domestic violence cases that you're on about, Angela, do you know why a lot of them fail? And Vega made a good point about evidence. You've got piss poor police that don't do proper investigations, that couldn't give a fuck, they don't care. They're only there to do their shift and leave at the end of the day. They're not really bothered about the person who's the victim. They will find any fucking way they can to weasel out of doing proper investigations. I'm not saying all, but there's a lot of them that do it, and that's why these cases fail. They get to the CPS level, they get to CPS, and they'll say, well, we haven't got enough evidence. But if they did their fucking jobs properly and started gathering the evidence properly,
I agree.
they would
Well,
have.
is it? Hang on, but also is it not also the case that there's evidential standards? So, for example, like in most criminal cases, the evidential standard that we use is the beyond a reasonable doubt standard, which requires
That's cool.
as opposed to preponderance of evidence.
No, that's court. That's for court. That it's not for the investigation of the police.
No, in fairness, yes, the police should investigate regardless. But my point is that when it comes to like most people, what they tend to do is not necessarily complain about the investigation of the police, which I'm sure is substandard in most cases. But what a lot of people complain about is the conviction rate. And whilst I'm sure the conviction rate does have something to do with the piss poor investigation by the police, it's also the case that a lot of crimes are difficult to prove in one direction or another, because a lot of the time it can be he said, she said.
But then where does that all fall back to? Piss poor investigation and evidence gathering and police actually being bothered about what they're doing. We've got a fucking epidemic in this country with police. They are fucking shit. They don't know what they're doing.
I'd agree that the police, generally speaking, will take the path of least resistance.
You mean shit? Let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, they're shit.
Well, I mean, I had a bit of an incident a couple of years ago, and it's obviously it doesn't even come close to the level of like a domestic abuse that Angela was talking about. But the worst case I've had, I was out in town, I was on my way home, and a bunch of how can I put this?
Youth
people from the traveller community decided that they wanted a good scrap on their way home, and they decided to set about me. And when the police turned up, they accused me of stealing one of their hoodies.
Yeah.
Now, when the police looked at it later, they could see me turning up into town on the CCTV footage wearing the hoodie that I was wearing when I was on the way out of town. Because it was a works hoodie. It was like a cheap George, £8, covered in silicon sealant because I'm a tradie hoodie. Like, it was my hoodie. And like, I mean, I gave them as good as I could get, but there was one of me and there was 8 of them, so I got the tar beaten out of me. And then at the end of the night, when like the blood was congealed, the police decided that they wanted to try and confiscate my hoodie because it was evidence of a theft, as opposed to evidence that they'd used it as an excuse for beating the shit out of somebody that had said nothing to them. So yes, like the police just didn't want to tackle, because there was 4 of them and eight gypsies basically, didn't want to tackle them. So John, like I completely get the path of least resistance.
Man. Piss poor.
John, do you think you've got a right to good policing? Do you think you've got a right to a good police service?
Because I pay taxes, yes, but I don't think it's a human right.
It's not a human right, but you've got a right to it because you pay into it, yeah?
No, I draw a distinction between a legal right and a human right. If I pay for it, I want it. If I don't pay for it...
Well, yeah, you pay for it, so you want that. So it's your right to have that because you paid into it, yeah? You paid for a service.
I mean, that's why their caravans like spontaneously combusted the next afternoon. But, you know, that was just, you know...
You are.
Okay. So
Did
what
you
I'm
just
saying is,
confess to a crime there, John?
I was going to say.
Tell him, Vega.
No, I said
Get him,
it was
Vega.
karma. It was complete karma.
It wasn't in that movie Snatch, was it? He didn't have Brad Pitt having his shit on the outside of the caravan whilst it was burning, did you?
What's a caravan for his ma?
blue.
So can I just quickly go back to this one thing, yeah? So the Human Rights Act, again, protects us all from inhumane and degrading treatment. The right protects us from ill treatment that causes severe mental...
Human Rights Act. John's just admitted to arson.
It protects you from nothing, Angela. It protects you retrospectively. It doesn't protect you. Somebody comes to knock you about, that's going to happen before your human rights kick in afterwards.
Exactly, but therefore, if you've already been put on the risk register, and therefore, if you've already been classed as being at a high risk of serious harm or homicide by the police, and they fail you and let you down despite everything... How many times have you hearing of women getting like murdered?
Oh, do you know what? I know you don't have the right to do. You don't have the right to commit arson, bro.
Should we just arrest and incarcerate everyone before they commit crimes, Angela? Would that be a good solution?
What I'm saying to you is though, but when the police are aware of a serious domestic abuse or serious victim.
Do you know, I'm going to be controversial here. I'm gonna gamble a bit on this because this won't be met well. Maybe people should select partners that aren't violent, Angela.
Indeed. Well, indeed, it's a great.
How about that for a strategy?
Be
very selective of people you invite.
Yeah, spend 6 months getting to know them rather than 6 minutes, Jamie.
Yeah.
You're always still going to get an aspect to that, though.
Yeah,
I do agree
that it's part of a relationship. Well said, Bert.
I just think that you could be with someone for a year and they could show no signs of it, and it's not to say that then they won't go on to later on.
Correct.
But I do agree though that there is far too much kind of like, oh, I'm in love.
We're moving in tomorrow.
2 minutes.
We met today.
Facebook status changed on day one.
Move in. I agree with that aspect of what Vega's saying there.
Therefore, can I just ask you, okay, I'm just going to throw this back at you then, yeah? So if that was the case then, these people coming into the country now, that everyone's saying that they're committing this crime and that crime, you're saying that we've not got the human right to protect ourselves.
Angela chucks a curveball in. Can we keep on topic, please, Angela?
Hang on. Is that not a fair comment?
Well, not really, no. If you want to do immigration, that's normally on a Saturday night with Jamie's.
But, Vega, let me just throw this curveball at you. You know, there are an awful lot of men that have settled into relationships who complain that their wife was like eager and was keen and horny earlier in the relationship and changed later in the relationship. Do you not think it's possible that a guy could change in the relationship and like he could have been like sweetness and light at the start and become more violent later? Is it not possible and reasonable that people change over time?
Of course, but the longer you know somebody, the more you can mitigate that risk, John.
So how long should you know a person before you commit to them?
Well, there's no set time, but I just know if we were to go back to how we used to do things, where our parents would be involved with our partner selection, our families would be involved with the courting process, our families would be involved after getting married, then you could reduce that risk quite large.
That's silly talk.
I don't think so, Mr. In Between. I'm quite the traditionalist.
Do you not think it was just not reported, as opposed to it wasn't there?
Well, it wasn't the obvious problem that we have now, but what concerns me greater is we have domestic abuse numbers now where women feature almost equally as men. Now that is the fucking breakdown of society.
Did you know actually, if you look at one of the highest statistics for group of people, domestic violence is actually lesbians.
Oh yeah, by a country mile. Yeah,
it actually is. That's not. You can go check that out. I'm not
throwing
that out there.
Violent. Next is men on men.
But this does nothing to downplay it. I don't know what the point is.
Whatever they're called.
Well, without putting too fine a point in it, I do suspect that. I mean, men probably beat the ever-living fucking tar out of one another before somebody complains, but I'm not sure those statistics pan out in relationships because, like, how can I put it?
Quickly. Just a
Well,
thought.
I'm looking. I'm quickly burning up my non-PC budget here.
Panel's full, Laura. Angela's putting link in the chat.
I do think
guest backstage as well, Angela.
I do think that
Sorry, I didn't realise.
men are more likely to tank abuse than women are, especially when it comes from women, because there's a
Define what you mean by tank abuse. What do you mean by that?
Well, they'll just put up with it for it.
So take abuse. Yeah, tolerate.
Tolerate.
It's almost a joke in society. I mean, I don't know if anyone here agrees with me, but all this thing about male sort of hierarchy and patriarchy bullshit, and men have been ruling women for hundreds of years, and when we get to court the woman can say, well, he abused me financially just because he never gave her 50 quid to get a fucking hair done every single week, because that's what's happening now. Hang on, John, let me make my point. So but in my world, the women ran everything. My grandmother was an absolute demon, but she ran her whole family very efficiently. My mother the same. My sisters are, honestly, I wouldn't fight either of my sisters, not even when I was young, not now. So my world is that women had far more of a role in society than ever.
But who gave them that role?
Men gave them that role because they did a better job of running their household, raising the kids to a certain age, and making sandwiches, of course.
Getting tea on, cakes, bread, all that good stuff.
Scrubbing the front step, Jamie.
I mean, I'm shocked she wanted 50 quid a week for her hair doing. Seriously, 50
quid. I know that's quite cheap, isn't it?
And,
well, I don't know. I wouldn't be doing 50 quid. That's a relationship breaker for me. 50 quid.
In fairness, like my wife's thumped me, but I've never thumped my wife.
Did you laugh it off?
No.
Hang on a minute. This is a serious. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I kind of know how she felt, John. But continue the story.
No, but it wasn't in like an abusive scenario or anything. But what I mean is, like, it was like she gave me all she had. Like it just didn't hurt. But like if I'd have responded but she knew that it wasn't gonna hurt. Like she wasn't being abusive. It was just
yes,
like
she was. Well, she was.
Yeah, exactly. You got to call it for what it is. It's absolute. What's the word, Ray? Domestic abuse.
That's the one.
No, she said it. How many times? Like twice, as my wife hit me.
So she's a domestic abuser.
Multiple offender.
Well,
so John, we're laughing about that, but if you were here right now confessing to have punched your wife 2 times,
exactly,
they'd be horrified in the chat, and we'd even be more horrified on panel because we tend to exaggerate our horrifiness. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
So.
Thanks for
why is that, John? Why is your woman allowed to beat you around that house whenever she wishes, but you're not allowed to do it to her? What human right is she exercising there?
You want to be left alone, John?
Thanks for playing along, Vega. Well, because I allow it.
So you're an abused man.
Well, the 2 times that she's ever hit me were never in an abusive scenario. It's not like she was like,
"Yes, they were. Of course, they were."
In the kitchen, bitch. No, it was a jokey thump. It was nothing.
You
but it
said
was
she hit you as hard as she could, and it didn't have any effect on you. So I've never hit mom.
There was no actual impact. Like, no, don't get me wrong. She meant it. Like it was an angry thump. But
I think this would fall down in court, John.
Have you done anything to anger her? What had you done to anger her?
Well, the first time it ever happened, I
Was that the time you got caught with a sister, John?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd fuck a sister, but I wouldn't have a
Oh,
relationship.
fucking hell, you're in for a
John,
big
you're full of confessions tonight. Honestly,
Yeah.
you need
What
to
the
stop.
That's some bullshit or something.
No,
God.
they've actually always been arguments about the kids. To be honest, like it's been like parenting arguments and stuff like that. It's had a lot more to do with how we deal with the kids and stuff than anything else. It's never been personal.
Big G, welcome back. Thanks for drop. I just had to drop Big G backstage for it. Angela's dropped down. She says she don't want to say too much. I don't know.
Can I ask them, John?
You had some great support in chat as well, Angela. You made some great points on the European right shit. Thank you. Good.
John, did your missus actually hit you? Did she actually hit you?
No, I'm just messing. Like she's never actually.
Oh, sorry, I missed on.
So you just made the whole scenario up.
No.
You just gone from making out that you were being abused to now you just made it up.
No. It's not about being abused. Like she can't.
Or is it bravado?
She's
right.
No.
I'm happy with that. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
She's given me a thump because she's been frustrated.
Frustrated,
and it's been like.
Do you think that would be an appropriate defence in a court of law for you, John, after you walloped your wife? Do you think that would be an appropriate response?
Let me put it this way.
I was frustrated.
If I had have done the same to her, then me going, I was frustrated, would never have been conceivable. Like, it wouldn't have been, like, nobody would ever have accepted it. It wouldn't have been. But
however, you would have been frustrated. It's a factual fact. The point.
I would have been frustrated. I am required by virtue of the fact that if I lash out, I am going to do far more harm than she is capable of doing to me. I'm required.
No, that's not correct. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's not necessarily true.
Why was she frustrated, John? Couldn't you get it up or something like that? What was the problem, pal?
I wasn't going to go there.
He might be married to Fatima Whitbread.
No, we were actually the first time it ever happened. We were having an argument about getting the kids to bed, and both of the kids were playing up at the same time. And the reason that we're having the argument is I said to my wife, I don't have this problem getting the kids to bed when you're on a night shift because she's a nurse. So when she's not there, I just tell the kids to go to bed. We do a good night. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice good night routine. We have a nice good night routine. But when Lib's about, my wife, the kids play up because they know they can. And one night I got fed up with it, and I was like, right, enough of this. Lib, let me deal with it. And the kids were now all worked up, and I was like, no, you don't do this with me. Lie down, go to bed, enough. And they're not like 18 months old. They're at the time, I think they were 5 and.
Don't give us too much information, John.
Yeah. I was going to say, John, I was only having a laugh, pal.
This is the context of the situation.
And then, John. This isn't a
after the kids were in bed, we ended up having a
row, and she's sorry.
Yeah, and she got frustrated. It was a heated argument. Don't get me wrong.
To be fair, John, you basically said to her in a roundabout way, I'm a better parent than you. That's the right kick in the flaps, isn't it, to be fair? Like,
so I deserved it.
So, John, I have a serious question for you. So, if that had happened the other way and you and your wife decided to stay together, despite any court intervention, you would have been put on what's known as an anger management course or something similar to deal. Yeah, there would have been a set, and to deal with your sort of propensity to behave like that. When she did that to you, did it occur to you that maybe she ought to go on some program? Because, you know, there's a very small distance between her using a fist or using an implement, John. And we know how these things can end.
I know, and you said she was a nurse as well, so that don't sound too good, bro. I'd probably keep that stuff off of here.
Yeah.
We've been together.
You'll get your missus into
years, trouble. So I think all told, it's not like a pattern of behaviour.
She assaulted you, didn't she?
And you said twice.
Yeah.
Like once.
Yeah,
and,
so similar twice. Yeah.
Or do
Three
you have
times a lady
confidence
and
in
all
the
that.
fact that if it does kick off, you could easily take her in a full fight? Is that what it is?
No,
You know a few
He knows
things.
he'll get a third beating if he does it.
You know a few things that she doesn't know about the fight game.
I'll tell you what, John, you'll like sharing, pal.
Yeah, don't overshare.
Needless to say, I was never in real danger. Let's put it that way.
Point of order. Yeah, just be careful, John. Loose lips and all that.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, but if you ever struggle to get it up, pal, just take them blueies. You know what I mean?
No.
What
You'll be
blueies
right.
are them, Big G? What are they called?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Don't
see
see your
the
doctor. Go for a walk. Go for a run.
Honestly.
Baker's asking for a friend and that, isn't he?
I just subscribe to Big G's mum's OnlyFans account. That's all. That's it for me.
Fucking hell, mate.
It doesn't need any blueies.
My man's 6 feet under, pal, so feel free, bro.
Are you looking for support in that department? Big G?
What can I say? Mushrooms do it for me. You know.
So if she's able to get away with that, John, is she exercising any further human rights that you're missing? Because you said human rights were intrinsically bestowed upon yourself by yourself.
No, they're in the negative. So
Of
I
course.
would
Of course.
I would suggest that the defence of your human rights is your responsibility. But
So when she walloped you, did you point out that she was exercising a negative human right?
Yeah, it's definitely.
And did she look at you confused
And then hit
Did
you
she
again.
apologise?
and hit you again? Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Or did she
Well,
say you made me do it?
there was maybe a look from me that meant don't do that again. And
Or do it again.
well, I mean, it could have been misinterpreted.
John,
Don't
can
get me
I let me ask you a direct question? What would have been the outcome? This might be difficult for you, Tan. So, what would have been the outcome had the roles been reversed? What do you think she would have done?
We're assuming it was one-sided. Was there any retaliation? Had you been aggressive? Had you shown any anger towards her?
No, I
Would she tolerate you punching her?
I'm
Oh,
talking
God.
about the times when
Absolutely
she's
not.
done it to you. What were you doing at the time? Were you just a victim in this?
No,
You're
having
blaming the victim blaming there, Jamie.
Well, I'm not. I wanted to just get all the. I'm just not quite.
No,
I just thought
no,
naturally
we
we're
were-
just making a lot of assumptions here.
my wife has never been under any kind of physical threat from me whatsoever. We were having a vociferous argument about like parenting, and it was but there was no like waving of arms or crazy raised voices.
She
It
caught you
was-
off guard.
Great
just out.
haymaker.
That's how it starts, John.
Yes, correct.
Hey, John, she's not sitting in the background watching you, she, pal. You're not
course
under
she
pressure, are you?
Well, you're not going to get an ass whooping, are you?
Yeah.
No. Can I just? I'm just going to mute you guys. I'm going to ask her to put the club down quickly, and then we can carry on. This conversation.
Yeah. Cough twice if you're in any danger.
Yeah.
Take the
Safe
fucking
word
glove
is
out.
pineapple, bro. Pineapple.
Do I have to say it twice though? That might get a bit sus. Pineapple, red leader.
Put the fucking baby all down. Fucking.
So going back to human rights, are there any human rights that the government have taken away from us which we see as a positive?
Well, yeah, there is. Of course, there is. Yeah. So the rights that we hundreds of years ago used to have to like fucking revenge and shit. Laws came in to say that you didn't need to do that. We're going to do that for you. We're going to take all the need for you to get revenge away, and we're going to deal with it for you.
We're going to introduce a judicial system to protect you. Marrying a 12-year-old is
Correct.
another one.
Yeah.
Very recent.
Well, there's gonna be
Being able to have conjugal rights with your wife, whether she wanted to or not, in a marriage.
Actually, Vega, I think the age of consent is probably the most pertinent one there because
Well, we covered that by marrying a 12-year-old, John.
Yeah,
Well,
but that's exactly what I mean.
There's one going through the system at the moment, isn't
Well,
there?
they tie in, don't they?
If you're going to say right to life, then obviously there's the suicide thing going through at the minute, right? That's going to obviously trump the right to life, right?
That's not going to go through, though, is it? That's failing.
Is it?
Well,
I thought it's going through. It's got to the House of Lords on it.
As far as I'm aware, it's failing.
Yeah, they're going to.
On the first reading, it failed.
Yeah, they're going to reject it.
Because that's the one Esther Ranson's trying to sort of push it through. Well, not push it through, but she's trying to promote that. And
very British.
Yeah.
Well, also it's crazy stuff that's happened in Canada with medical assistance in dying. Like it's not worked out the way they thought it was going to. Like there was a woman who was part of the Canadian version of the Royal Engineers. She'd come back from she's had some chronic pain post an injury after a service in Iraq or Afghanistan, and she'd been trying to get a ramp built on the front of her house for years, and they also sent her a medical assistance in dying pamphlet. Like medical assistance in dying should be under very, very specific, very controlled circumstances. And the fact of the matter is that we used to have this unlegislated in the UK. We had something called the Liverpool Care Pathway.
Well, it's in Canada. It's a lifestyle choice. They're not approaching it from a medical point of view.
My point is that the Liverpool Care Pathway in the UK
is barbaric.
Under legislation was taken away from British doctors because it was being abused. So now we want to reintroduce it after the fact. Like we've already run this trial in the UK. I'm not against the notion that somebody should have the right to end their own life. My concern is beyond that. Whilst I agree that everybody should have the right to end their own life.
The selection process, however, the process should finish once the patient is not compos mentis. There should not be any further options after that.
Anyone would support the right to die.
Unless there's a medical instruction that was given prior to it.
Unless it's it's in a will and testament.
But principally, I get what you're saying. The notion that the family can just go, "Oh yeah, I don't want to pay for this anymore, so kill them," or a medic can just come along. Like we had numerous examples of patients being put on the Liverpool Care Pathway where they were being given hydration and pain medication but being denied nutrition, and the whole point of this pathway was to expedite their shuffling off of this mortal coil. And the victims and the family had no idea that they'd been put on the medical care pathway until they got hold of the patient's notes after their death, which is why the pathway was taken away from British medics.
Well, the concern in Canada is not when the families are paying for treatment; it's when the government is paying for treatment. That's where the concerns lie.
Well, Canada's
was whether the assisted dying is where they move the goalposts, and not through. It's through people trying to access it. They're not expecting the people wanting to access these services. Call them that.
Well, we've witnessed, I think, and if I get this wrong, I'm so sorry, and God bless her, but I think she was 26 years old. She had no debilitating condition whatsoever, and she chose to go through Switzerland, through Dignitas, pure and simply because I think the wording was, and I might be wrong, her life didn't turn out how she thought it would.
Disgraceful.
I probably fucked that up completely. And
I've heard this somewhat similar. In fact, like people with, and we're not downplaying mental health, it's extremely serious. But a treatment for mental health is not that shit in Switzerland, in my opinion. Many of us.
Andrew in the chat has said the Liverpool Care Pathway is horrific. They stopped everything, even fluids.
Yeah.
My understanding is that the official guidance was that you weren't supposed to stop fluids, but that people did.
Well, it expedited things when the
Yeah.
fluid
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was horrified when I found out about that. Have you heard of, I don't know if you've seen this Mystery in Between and Bird. This just, if you've ever time researched this Liverpool care pathway.
Yeah.
And it's just horrifying what was going on.
Yeah.
The problem is that when consent was achieved, it did serve a useful purpose. The problem is that it just got abused. Like, there were too many pragmatists that were involved in the process.
Where's the positives other than, like, saving a few benefit payments and pension checks?
Well, no, because in terms of you can't. It was a legal. Technically, it was a legal methodology in which doctors could assist the expedience of a person's death in the minimal suffering possible, without them being legally culpable. Like, I mean, look, if I end up with severe Parkinson's or something similar,
I remember
I would thank you for mainlining me with morphine, but I would be fine with that. Personally, I would be fine with that. The problem is that there were altogether too many people that ended up getting put on this pathway.
They abused it.
Didn't consent to it. It was abused. It was a useful tool.
But
like a hammer is a useful tool. That
you're in medical, aren't you, John? You work in the medical world.
I used to work for a private diagnostic company. I was in contract management, and I had my AMPR and clinical assistant training.
Not to defend the Liverpool pathway in any way whatsoever. I thought it was barbaric as well because it was misused. But what it did do was put a humane end to many people. And that sounds barbaric, but if we were talking about your grandma and we gave her a humane end, it's like a vet talking about a dog.
I know what you're saying, and it's but it's not possible.
But the opposite was to leave grandma in pain and discomfort and suffering and lack of dignity, however you wish to picture that.
That's the one that people.
That was the kicker.
People will rely on,
that's why people thought they were doing good, and that's not necessarily the whole of the story.
That's the difficult bit with end of life, but it's whether it is end of life or not, and also the right to live, the right to fight it, the right. You don't take people's right to life away. This intervention, people not knowing, is different to. It's not fair, especially in a trusting society. You put that white coat on, and you've got people of and some generation nodding dogs, blah blah blah. Yes, doctor, yes, doctor. You know that's true.
That's right.
So no, it's very. It's not just changing a lot now, and information's on his fingertips. It's very different, and families are researching, and they'll be straight in. They're going, hang on a minute. It's just things, but not everyone's got them support networks neither. So big up them your rights, protecting the people. Yes.
Well, that's where it became the issue. It wasn't so much with the people with the diligent families that were looking over them and were in every day and stuff like that. It was the people that had fallen through the gaps. The lost folk, essentially. And it did start to have a little bit like eugenics-y feels to it, if I'm being honest. Like,
well, it's not eugenics. It's not even.
No, it's not eugenics.
It's not even doing what God would have intended, because without that care, I think a lot of them would have gone down that same path anyway. It's the fact that the hospitals were intervening. That was the issue. The hospital has no right to intervene in somebody's demise.
And on each case, you're going to then want to know, and what were they assessing on over how long? What did they have? Just one appointment, one interview, one hospital admission? What were they basing it on?
Well,
isn't it? This is a problem with humans getting shit wrong. You see it with the government, you see it with the police, you see it with it. The NHS isn't the fucking bastion of all good in the UK. I'm sick of fucking hearing this shit.
I agree.
Are we saying we don't agree with like assisted deaths, or are we saying we don't agree with that?
Well, no, I think in an ideal world, it could and should probably be integrated into
Because
health
it's not
system.
exactly the same, but we have, as long as you're coherent in that, you can put down on your medical records, for instance, that you want like DNR, so do not be resuscitated, yeah?
Well, no, this way, Bear. Like the reason, like
And I know it's slightly different, but
well, my
right.
my family has instructions that in the event of my untimely death, should it be appropriate, like I am a complete donor, like body to medical science donor. I don't like once I'm dead, I'm not precious about my body, but I don't have a donor card.
No, but I always
My
relate this
family
to my mum, right? She went through cancer, right? And she reached a point where they fully sedated her. She lasted a month, right, under full sedation. So basically, no feeding tube, nothing, no fluids. She lasted a month. And should someone that is dying be put under sedation? Because in my opinion, even if you're under sedation, you're still in there, right? You're still in there. You can still. It's evil. It's evil.
If you're under sedation, though, mate, if you're under sedation and you haven't got the ability to start articulating yourself properly, it's really difficult. The problem is we've got in this country is with the like I said, with the NHS, you go into the NHS hospitals, the doctor's surgeries, thinking you're going to get a decent service or at least a fair crack of the whip if you've got like an illness that's really serious or you broke your arm or whatever. When reality is, there's many people, not all, but many people in the NHS that, again, like the coppers, they couldn't give a fuck. The shite. They couldn't give a fuck.
Susan, jump up and tell me where you're backstage, and I'll jump off. You can get on.
In my opinion, like I say, a patient should have the right to, before they get to that point, is if they say, as soon as I get to that point, I want switching off.
Yeah.
They should have the right to be able to say, I want switching off, not exasperated for another month.
I get what you're saying, mate, but the problem is there, you don't go to hospital. The hospital is there to fix you, not end you. That's my opinion. You shouldn't be going to a hospital for the doctors to say, do you know what, we're looking at the records here, and they've got to a point where we could just switch all the machines off because they've said they want that doing. I've got a real problem with that. There's a real issue there.
I'm obviously thinking in the context of terminally ill people here.
Yeah.
I think they should have someone that is terminally ill and there's no way back for. They should be able to end their life whenever they wish.
Jumping in, and I've debated that in my head a few times, Mr. In Between, about this hospital should be there for like, good, yeah. But then I think the real reality is you only end up there when things are shit. So it's highly likely that they're going to be dealing with this, because I've had that same thing. It's like expecting perfection when really they're preventing what's already bad. Fixing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is the thing, though. You
right, I'm jumping off, Jamie. Let Susan on.
All right, mate. Thank you very much, Vega. Take care, man. All right.
You go to hospital wanting to be fixed because there's something wrong. That's essentially, obviously, why you're there. But you want a fair crack at getting better, and you want to know that there's absolutely nothing more that they can do for you. Then you can start talking about.
Have you done everything that possibly can that is available? Not, that's you want to know that they've done that the best. That's all you ask for, isn't it? You just.
But how many times have we seen in the news? How many times have we seen on the news and in the news that hospitals and doctors and nurses have got it completely fucking wrong, completely wrong? And
you just look at if you start looking at the numbers in how much, and then someone says, "Well, it's not to do with money." I'm like, no, I'm not saying it's about money. I'm saying just looking at the amount they pay out in compensation, which is not easy to get. They only give it if they do wrong, and it's billions.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Look, they didn't make them out how much they put out there, didn't they?
What's that?
Sorry, we looked the other day, didn't we? How much they were paying out in compensation and stuff. It was mad.
Susan, welcome up. Welcome.
Hey, we lost.
Oh no. Oh, anyway. Well,
in a bit. Bears dropped. Susan, jump in. Look, how are you doing?
yeah. See, when she got pneumonia. She went into hospital on the Sunday. They treated her until the Friday with antibiotics. And then they said, sorry, she's pulled out the feeding tube. I don't think they sighted it very well because it was just hanging out of her nose. So we're going to withdraw treatment. And then they withdrew treatment.
How old was she?
That was it. 77.
77.
Yes.
And had she had any other illnesses?
She did have.
Did she pull out her own NG tube? Is that what they said?
Yes.
But she was sedated.
No, she wasn't sedated at that point.
Right. Okay.
So how long were the checks for her then? Were they checking every half hour, every hour?
I don't know because I was only allowed on the ward for certain times. It was anyway. She pulled it out. She had dementia.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, that's critical. So she was.
Yeah.
And that's.
But I mean, when I used to deal with NG tubes, we put face tapes on, so they don't. Well, you just don't want them pulling back out. Like
this is one of my big fears, Susan, right? Because in these situations like you want it to stamp your feet and get angry, and
the tapes required anyway.
Bailiffs on site. It's literally a criminal offence to be a nuisance on NHS property. You marched off on a whim. This is happening all the time, and it's you. Good luck complaining on the.
And I mean, had I have sat with her, I could have gone. Don't touch that.
Did they not tape the tube at all? Because, like, if they don't tape the tube, just rolling around in bed can pull the tube out.
Yeah, no, they didn't tape it at all. I've got a picture of it, and they didn't tape it at all.
Do you know what this is, though, mate? And it's across the board. This with all services that we have as the public, lack of accountability and lack of transparency. If she'd have had a camera above her bed that was going 24/7, them doctors and them nurses would behave differently. They would be checking at the right times. They would be giving the right care. And if they weren't, it would show. That's why we need cameras. Are the fucking best thing.
Hey, you're onto something, even more so. We should. It should be beeping when shit's ready to be done. You know, we've got AI, haven't we? Get AI on all this shit. Yeah.
She took one feed through it, and then that was it. She put it out.
There would have been a log, mate, of when nurses were checking on her, and there would have been a written log. And this is why, again, that the paperwork side, the paper trail of everything needs to be looked at. Whenever a loved one dies or gets bad treatment, you've got to look to the paperwork and you've got to look to the people who's on shift. I don't really want to bring up Lucy Letby because it's a big subject, but all the paperwork would suggest that she probably did harm those babies.
You're with me, and there's a lot of disagreement, especially around here. And we did a poll, and I was shocked. 80% said she didn't do it.
I think she did, mate. From what I've read, and I've read it extensively, I think she did. My missus is. She said you're talking bollocks.
You know, Di, she did a great job of making me doubt myself. You know, she probably would. She's.
Oh yeah. Well, I questioned it when I looked at it, and I looked at the transcripts, and I looked at the diary entries and the dates and where she was, and the people there. The defence were trying to get involved in discrediting experts. I just thought, this is a fucking shambles. This.
Do you know? In between, so as a person who has attempted, and I say attempted, to sue the NHS.
Yeah.
Good night.
After looking at the Letby stuff,
and
what happened with my dad when he died, I'm more convinced, based on the information that I have, that they were more negligent, that there was more criminal culpability with my own father than with Lucy Letby. And I could not sue the NHS civilly because the burden of proof required was so unbelievably high. The NHS with my dad not only admitted that they didn't admit him when they should have admitted him.
Mm.
They also admitted that they didn't inform the right departments, i.e. hematology, when they should have informed them. And when I say they didn't inform them when they should have informed them, they informed them 3 weeks after they should have informed them. And he had internal bleeding. They kept him in urology when he was pissing out of his kidneys, and he had an autoimmune condition.
Yeah.
Like his blood tests were clearly indicating that his factor VIII was in the toilet, which clearly indicated an autoimmune condition that required hematology and immunology to be involved. They didn't get any of them involved, right? It was negligence of the highest order.
But John, to prove that in court is like trying to get blood from a stone. It's the same with the police.
It's impossible. So, the what fucked us is this was all during COVID.
Yeah. Oh, even worse.
When my dad was admitted to hospital, they admitted him to hospital. They did what is called quote unquote buffing his numbers. So they pumped him up to the gills with synthetic factor VIII and gave him a blood transfusion. And as soon as his numbers were back up to acceptable levels, they discharged him.
Yeah.
And then when they readmitted him, and when they tested him for his readmittance 5 days later, they readmitted him with a positive COVID test. But they couldn't find the actual blood that they'd taken for the test. They couldn't find the test results. All that happened was that somebody had ticked the positive test on the chart. They couldn't evidence the test. And then it was 2 weeks after that they involved hematology, but he was already on a ventilator by this point. And the reason that he had low factor VIII is because it turns out that it was a very rare condition, don't get me wrong. It was something called acquired hemophilia, which was an autoimmune condition, whereas his immune system was attacking the clotting factors in his blood. But the treatment for COVID is to bolster the immune system, and the treatment for an autoimmune condition is to suppress the immune system.
Yeah.
So by the time they figured out what was actually going on, he was already fucked. So, but even given all of this, it's documented. They admitted to all of it. They admitted to everything in the documentation. We handed it to the solicitors, and we thought it was a slam dunk. And the response from the courts was, well, you can't prove that he wouldn't have survived, that he wouldn't have died anyway. I'm
but
like,
that wouldn't have been your argument, though.
Insane as a legal standard.
But that wouldn't have been your argument. You, as I'm hearing it from you, that wouldn't have been your argument for taking him to court. You were taking him to court for negligence of care, not that your dad died. So I don't know what solicitors you talked to or barristers even, but
we took them to court to negligence. That was it was wrongful death by virtue of negligence is what we actually took them to court for. And the point that they made was that given that your dad had a viral infection that he contracted from within the community,
how could they prove that?
Because they ticked the form that when they admitted him the second time that he tested positive with COVID coming into the hospital.
And there's your problem. What they do is, and this is organisations across the board, there is no parameters for checking what people are signing and ticking off. There's no double checking. There's no triple checking. So
when we asked for the test, we were like, okay, where's the test? So we can, where's the test? And they were like, well, we can't find it.
Oh no, and that's also, long. Were you trying to jump in there, Susan?
And also,
go ahead, jump in.
Well, my story was not really about the negligence of my mum. That was just, it was to link to the assisted dying thing. Because when they decided that that was it, treatment withdrawn, everything went. But bear in mind, she only had Alzheimer's and pneumonia, that she had had a week's worth of treatment for the pneumonia. So therefore, they withdrew food, water, anything. She did not sip one more bit of water. They withdrew all IVs for 14 days. It took her. And I mean,
she stayed in the same ward for 14 days.
No, she came home for 9.
So she stayed on the ward then came home for 9 days.
Yes.
And what was she on her own, or was someone with her for that time?
I stayed with her the entire time.
Wow, well done.
Yeah, it's
But
hard, that.
I mean, to link it to the assisted dying, it was horrendous to watch somebody waste away for 14 days.
Mm.
And it felt cruel. I mean, I know they were telling me you can't feel that you're hungry. It's just a noise that comes from the tummy. It was driving me potty that she's hungry.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'd have been able to make the decision that,
Because you couldn't eat at all, then. Why did she need the tube?
she didn't have. She needed, because she couldn't eat. She needed the feeding tube. But because she pulled out the feeding tube, they said no more. And the only time they could sedate her was if she was showing signs of pain, like in her face.
Yeah.
And it was horrendous. I'm sorry to anybody in the chat.
I'm just thinking over how mortified it must have been for you and your mum. And your mum.
Yeah. I mean, in that 9 days, we did have some good fun as a family in the lounge. She was in the lounge with us. We had a few drinks and a laugh and reminiscing, even though it was really sad. So I'm not sure I would have made that decision, no. But I wonder if other people might.
Like I say, everyone's situations are different. Obviously, my mum's ailments were different to yours, Susan, but my mum stopped eating before she actually got put into an induced coma, or sedation, or whatever you want to call it. When someone's terminally ill, right, they reach a point where they've had enough of being prodded and poked and injections, and they just give up. And that's what happened to my mum, is that she just gave up. It was like, right, I've had enough of this. Enough. That whole period of keeping her alive, it wasn't for her, it was for the family. That's what it was actually for.
They stopped taking tablets and things.
It's so that the family could come to terms with it. And my mum already said to me, actually, before she got put into it, she was like, I wish this assisted dying thing had come in quicker.
Wow, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, as well, isn't there? There's got to be a lot. You want it to be pain-free as possible, as comfortable as possible. Yeah.
It's like I say, everyone's situation's different and whatnot. But I could only go from my experience of my mum. But yeah, I found it cruel. It's a cruel thing. It wasn't for in her best interest. It was in the family's best interest for them lot to come to terms with it. When really she just wanted the light switching out.
I mean,
it's a horrible thing to watch them, isn't it? I think when you're seeing someone that you love that go through such an awful time. I found it so difficult to watch my mum. She was on the Liverpool care pathway, and it was just normal though. It was the thing that they just did back then. I'm going that back to 2002. But it was just normal, It wasn't signed for. It was just the way they treated it, and well, that's the way they ended it. And there was no fluids, no food, nothing, and it just until that person died, and so. It was just
the no fluid bit.
That sounds really bad. That.
How is that different to the end of life care plan?
Well, do you know what? I don't think it is, because I remember when my missus, her nan died, and we was at her bedside and we were watching her die, and they weren't giving her like water and stuff. And I was saying to the nurses and that, she's thirsty. She wants something to drink. You can tell her mouth is dry, and she's asking for those sponges. And they said, well, we don't tend to give it them. So what do you mean? What the fuck do you mean you don't tend to give it them? This is the basics of care.
So how were they different? Is my
like
question.
IV fluids.
No, she wasn't hooked up to anything.
No,
No, it was
neither.
really
Right.
bad.
Okay. Well, that in fairness is not in fairness, but that's probably the medical difference. Like a Liverpool Care Pathway is there's a direct intervention going on there, whereas
Yeah.
like a person who's dying, who's just like on the downward enders. Now, whilst what they did by not giving us sponges or fluids is fucking horrible, that's not quite the same as the Liverpool Care Pathway. I'm making a technical difference here.
I'd make it,
not a
dumb it
moral one.
down, please.
The end of life care package that you're referring to was over a long period of time, isn't it? It's like
No,
months.
Well, it wasn't.
Well, it's more just like there's no IVs going on, there's no NG tube, they're not withdrawing anything, they're just not giving her stuff, if that makes sense.
The only system you're basically hooked up to is
Well,
a
no,
driver.
they did withdraw it.
You just usually hooked up to a driver, and that's literally it. You just to keep you sedated.
They've withdrawn all treatment when it comes to IV anything. All IVs are taken out the minute you hit that end of life care plan. They wrote a new, it's called a respect form. It used to be a DNR. Now you fill in a respect form and it's more detailed. And I think that's where it went wrong with Mum, because her said no long hospital stays.
Yeah.
And then the new one, it specifically said, don't give her IVs, don't do this. She's not to be readmitted to hospital, obviously. She's come home to die.
The problem is with these DNRs and stuff, the problem is with like giving the consent to say don't keep me alive, don't resuscitate me, and that. It's hard because most people who have those in their care packages or whatever, or in the medical records, your feelings might change from week to week. Your feelings might change from minute to minute about wanting to stay around a tiny bit longer. I think it's really difficult to judge what people mean by when they say, I don't want to be here anymore. Usually, it's, I don't want to be in pain anymore. It's not that they don't want to be here.
Yeah. They want something changing, something they feel, something's got to
This
give.
is where the respect form, you cannot fill in yourself. You have to fill in with someone from your surgery or, a health professional that knows you. And then, actually, I'll be fair, paramedics hate the way that GPs write them. So, it always makes no sense. So, if you know a paramedic person, ask them.
Yeah, and Victoria writing in the chat, sometimes people have had enough. You're right, as Big G was saying, Big G's he's really personal experience there, by acknowledging that, and I've seen it myself, and had to respect it when I've even thought, you doubt it, you want it to be not the end. You sometimes you might think surely there's something, when the truth is there might not be, and it's sometimes respectful to just let it be for them,
Well, in terms of the content of the form, I mean, it's purely it must. I would think that it is the case that there are so many different, like you've said in between. There are so many different circumstances that are relevant to different people at different times. The form is trying to encapsulate so much information that it must become quite difficult to fill out. But at a certain point, it does come down to some medic somewhere making a decision.
But you know what? These decisions are made when you're filling out these things and these DNRs and stuff. These decisions are made when most likely you've been given the worst news in the world, that you've got some kind of illness that you're not going to get better from, or something's going to go wrong in your future, dementia or whatever. What about having a system where you could go to your doctor and have, a formal conversation while you're fully compassed, fully healthy, and say, look, if I get to this position in my life where Parkinson's is imminent, or,
does that not exist
you
right
can.
now? Yeah,
the respect form is what that is.
Is that something you do with the GP though when you're absolutely fine and you're well?
Yes,
Right,
anybody can have a respect form.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It replaces the DNR totally.
Mm.
Well, it's funny. I got my mother's paperwork through the post the other day. Is that her medical proxy? I am now, between me and my brother, I'm my mother's medical proxy. Like I have, and she's given us specific instruction, and there have been like she's got instructions that form part of her medical record, and yeah, she's not in danger of dropping dead anytime soon, but she's just taken she's just decided to do it. But if you don't, just like with the inheritance of your estate, some other fucker is going to make the decision for you if you don't do it beforehand.
And that's where the problems start.
It's a power of attorney over health and something.
Yeah, but the problem is with that and the assisted dying thing is, I think the power of attorney, you might have a relative who is the power of attorney that hasn't got the best interests of that person at heart, and that's where the problems start.
But I think with that respect form, you can say if I've had for example, if you've had a head injury and you're not going to come back from that, you can say, in those circumstances, if I pass away, don't bring me back.
Is there anything within that respect form that does some kind of a check and balance with it? So like a double check, as say if you get something and say you've got cancer and you've got 3 months to live, is there anything within that form where you can say, do you know what, I've changed my mind here, I want to go through every single last little bit of treatment and I want to hold on to life for as long as I possibly can? Is there anything within that you can change?
Yeah, you can change it at any time.
Where do I sign so that I can say, if I need hospital treatment, don't piss about looking for that respect form. Just crack on, you know.
That's the key with the respect form. You have to
need it. What does the respect form say? What about now with respect form? It doesn't. It's got to be a bit odd.
It was 2 a.m. when we called the ambulance for Mum, and I knew from the last time they came they were going to want it. And I was like, the cleaners tidied it. It took me 2.5 hours to find this form, and then they picked it up and went, "Don't mean much." Okay. And then the paramedic was like, "Oh, she's not really showing signs of sepsis, so do you really want to take her in?" I was like, "She can't speak, so yeah."
It's levels of care, isn't it? It's piss poor levels of care, and
do you mind me asking?
Not just care for the patient, but care for the family as well.
How old was your mum, Susan?
77.
Yeah.
Old age and frailty is over.
Not really. It's not really. It's just about getting old, and it's 77 now. Although it's 1 year above this region, I think that is the expected life expectancy. 77, I think.
My mum was 56, and she went through the full care pathway.
Sorry, my dad sits slap bag between you guys. He was 66.
So young and old, it shouldn't be happening. Well, it's unlucky. So sad.
She did 11 years after she shouldn't have done. They gave her 6 months when I was 11, and she carried on living.
Even 6 months.
In 4 hours, I'm taking my dad to get a new hip.
In 4 hours, you're doing what?
Taking my dad to. He's purchased a new hip.
As you do. Purchase a new hip.
Yeah.
Well, 10 minutes, I'm going to bed, as you do. So we are wrapping up.
That's all right.
Well, if you can get it, peeps, I would definitely advocate private healthcare, just as a little bit of a bolster.
Do you sell it? Are you on commission?
I was going to say, on commission there,
that's what Dad's using tomorrow.
No, I am. Well,
I'm going to set one back on, and
I'll be 42 years old this year. My wife is 38 years old this year. I've got a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and our health insurance, which covers us for everything other than mental health conditions, is £114 a month.
My dad's just paid 12.5 grand for hip.
Oh, that seems a bit of a bargain, doesn't it? 114.
That is quite cheap.
That is cheap. Yeah, it's
Don't
cheaper
get me
than that.
started on private health and surgeons, man. Do you know those? God,
114. That's not bad.
Yeah. Not
That's
per
cheap.
person, total.
Oh
Yeah.
no,
I
no.
think he
got it,
wishes he paid that now.
you know what, guys?
It's-
You know that surgeon that's doing the frigging your dad's hip, Susan. I can almost guarantee he will work for the NHS 3 days a week, and he'll work for his
Yeah,
private health
Well,
company
No,
2 days a week.
Yeah,
You're getting
Fridays,
it
they
twisted, G. They're all on the same. They're all going through the same unit tomorrow.
Yeah, honestly, it really pisses me off. That really pisses me off.
Well, the difference is though, the difference is like you've got when you're in like an NHS hospital, you've got the team around them. So you've got say the senior house officer, whatever. They'll be probably operating on you. Whereas if you go privately, it's just a surgeon or the consultant, and so
No, it's an actual. It's an actual unit with all the.
Someone's just
Shouldn't be any
someone's
difference in
fired
actual
the chat
treatment.
that £114 is a lot of money to most people. Completely concede that. Totally concede it. But
Yeah.
if like both my wife and I work.
I
My
think
wife,
it's money well spent. I wouldn't even justify yourself. I think everyone acknowledges
no.
that.
I get that it is a big chunk of what might be a family's disposable income. But if you could opt out of the NHS system and opt into the private system for anything other than emergency care, I would do it tomorrow.
100%.
And my wife,
I'm going to go. On that note, good night. I will catch you on the next one.
Let us know.
Susan, I think we might pick this up another time, John, because this could be a great topic. Because I'm now losing value in it now. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, what you're actually gaining is you're actually just you're
moving the problem. You're moving it from one system to another.
You're doing your fellow man a disservice. Shame on you.
It's to do with it's to do with making the optimization of the private system work for you. So
whilst you get the front at line, someone has to go to the back.
That's basically it. So this is what I've got to grumble with doctors being shared between the NHS and the private system, because we all know that there's massive waiting lists, right? Well,
yeah, of course.
Those doctors shouldn't be doing it in private then. NHS should come first, right? Get them waiting list down.
No,
so
but yeah,
ban them working for a private company.
They work for the NHS for the amount of time they are contracted for.
It's basically it's greed, right? Most of these surgeons will be on £250,000 a year, right? And yet
hang on,
and rightly so, But
hang on. So hang on, Big G. So let's say you're a drain digger, right?
Yeah.
But you work privately digging drains out on private property, but you also work for Severn Trent. Does Severn Trent have a monopoly on your labour?
Well, if you're using water as an example, yeah, there's a monopoly on. There's only one water company per county, so there isn't actually a monopoly on water. If you're going to use water
the principle is should there be an option? We've got an NHS or we don't. Why do we all just go private then and close the NHS down? We'll not pay us taxes, reduce everyone's benefit by £114, and we'll all go private.
Now,
you wouldn't even need to do that. You wouldn't need to do that. So what you could have is a system where emergency care and care where people can't afford the optimum care, let's say, is always there and we all pay into it. But there should be another standard that you can pay into through your work or even through your benefits to say, I want that better level. I want that better standard of care.
Also, frankly, Big G.
What's awful about it?
Unless you just mean having a fancy coffee and like cotton sheets. Then yeah.
As well, John. I've worked in the healthcare system for 25 years, mate. I've done a lot of data analysis, and I've looked at the obscure money that surgeons and anaesthetists get between the two systems, and how it halts the NHS when they switch over. Because the other thing is when they stop doing surgeries for the NHS, when they're doing over the private, you would think that a junior would fill in their space, right? A junior cannot allow to go into surgery without the doctor there. So it's kind of pointless, and it's basically faulted the system massively.
But why do you think that surgeons are opting to go into the private sector? It's money.
Money.
And rightly so. Yeah. You want to be paid the most for your skills. Of course you do.
It's great. I'm completely happy if the private health care
the reason
have their own doctors that work for them permanently. I just don't think you should be allowed to switch between the two.
Why though? Why?
Well, you're not in any other job. You won't be able to go like, well, your competitor. You're shutting down hospitals. It's a moral situation. It's about they've took the training from society, trained in this society, accepted all that education, and then they get in and they're like, right, I'm just off to earn a few quid while them waiting list just wait. While John comes in and gets in front of like someone who ain't got
the training and the education wasn't for free.
This is kicking back to the whole rights thing. I get to spend my money how I damn well please, and the doctor gets to use his skills how he damn well pleases. You don't get to dictate I spend my money how I spend my money, and you don't get to dictate that the doctor uses his skills how he uses his skills.
Yeah. Well, if you sign up to a contract, you'll have a non-compete clause in most contracts, and we negate that. And also the benefit the doctors from the lesser tax. We don't charge them as much tax as what we should.
If you want to pay for the doctor's education and then mandate that post the doctor's education he has to work an X number of years in the NHS, fine. But that's not what happens right now. Bursaries are a thing of the past. Grants are a thing of the past.
Still do exist, though. They're still getting
some do.
Encouraged to get on.
Some do.
Yeah.
But nurses don't get fucking bursaries.
And they are moving towards that model in a lot of sectors, and like dentistry have moved into that. Because so many people are just taking the piss, literally.
And also, let's not pretend like I don't pay fucking tax. I do pay tax.
You sound like you're being challenged. Have you been moonlighting or something? We're not on about you. No.
But what I mean is, like when somebody says that I'm paying to skip the queue, I'm already in the top 1% of taxpayers fucking anyway. And I still have to pay extra to skip the queue.
So you think it should be like a right? The higher up you're getting, longer.
What I'm saying is that
you should get medical treatment.
If you want to make it, if you want to separate the system and have a private healthcare system,
there you go. That's capitalism. Is it though? It's not supposed to be, because what's the motto of the NHS?
What I was
for
saying,
all, isn't it? No matter of
right now.
I have people that definitely don't have a sense of entitlement. Thank you very much.
Right now, I pay tax into the system that pays for me and everybody else. And I also pay a private healthcare tax, right?
Same.
Yeah.
Fine. Now, if you want to add, and that system for me seems, whilst it does seem a little bit unfair, I'm happy to tolerate it as long as I get what I want out of the system. Now, if you want to advocate for a private healthcare system and an NHS system where I get to opt out of the NHS system and all of the tax that I pay towards the NHS, you watch your system fall like a shit from heaven.
Well, then you get your then John. I mean, not John. Sorry, whatever your name is. You tell me then how you're going to get your A&E care. Because you're not going to get that.
I did say with the exception of I did say with the exception of emergency care.
No, there is a chance you could end up with commoners at some point. Yes.
Exactly. You can't have it every way and always, can you?
So I get picked up by the ambulance. I'm having the liver failure because I've eaten too much foie gras or whatever. And then I get taken into A&E and they diagnose me, and then they refer me out of A&E into the private healthcare system. They
keep you in there. They keep you in there till you're stable enough to be moved to a different ward. Once you're in the different ward, then you can be discharged. You then get discharged back to a consultant of your choice, which you have to have it authorised, pre-authorised, sorry, through your through like your health insurance, yeah. Then you can get an appointment within a certain amount of time. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, 48 hours. Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that these institutions should not cross lines. It's basically, if the private sector had its own surgeons and its own anaesthetists, fair play.
They do work with NHS, they do.
But it's an open market, mate. You'll never have that. That's what
the situations, I get you, Angela. Is the situations where the NHS is having to pay private to the consultants who should be actually also working for the same NHS who's paying them to do it privately?
No, what they're doing is the NHS are paying for, like, the private hospitals are used now for NHS patients, and they're paying just the rate that they would normally pay the NHS. So, like the one in Derby, Nuffield Health.
Oh, they're like, if you want some extra work, but it's at NHS rates only.
No, like to get someone through the MRI, like it's a load of MRI scans that need to be doing, they'll go down and use like the mobile MRI scanner in Nuffield for NHS patients.
No, because I know that NHS patients are getting said, well, we can send you to a private hospital to have it done.
Where well, Angela, the company I used to work for was Alliance Medical. I used to manage the vast majority of their mobile fleet.
Okay.
So we used to provide the NHS a book scan report service. So we'd get the referral, we'd triage it, we'd contact the patient, we'd book them an appointment at a time that was convenient for them, scan them, and provide the reports. And we were required to do it within 6 weeks. When I was managing the service, we did it within 6 days.
Oh.
For £105. The NHS, their internal costs were 3 times as much.
That's terrible.
You pay for what you get. That's what it is. You pay for what you get.
Yeah.
No, it's because we were motivated for our efficiency. We made about £12 per patient.
No.
So we were incentivized to shove as many patients through the system as possible.
NHS quality worth 3 times as much.
Do you know what?
We would gobble up referrals. We would gobble them up. Every time the NHS got a referral, they'd cringe.
He's got a point, because what happens is when you put work into the private sector, there's competition, and competition breeds better standards and better customer service, and that's what competition does. That's why the private sector is always going to be far better in any organisation, in anything that you have. If you have private, it's better, and if you can afford it, more power to you.
And you're just moving away from the socialistic system of the NHS. You're moving towards American system, which will eventually take over then.
Cy Bennett, Jamie, 13 months off the painkillers, pal. Thanks to you. So, thanks to you. Well done.
I've been in situations, right, where I'm aware of people that go to a surgeon, right, and they say, "All right, your appointment is a year," and then they've actually said to that patient and gone, "But if you go for this private medical, I can actually see you in 6 weeks," and it's just like, "Pardon?" "Oh yeah, the same bloody surgeon." And I'm just like,
"Yeah, it is.
Are you mental?" So basically, the people with money get to the top.
But it's capitalism, mate. So you could see a mobile phone in a shop and it could be 100 quid, but you could go next door and it could be 90 quid. That's the best thing, isn't it? Competition. You shop around for the things you can afford. If you can't afford it, it's shit. Of course it is.
It's a moral thing, though, isn't it? It's basically, why should someone that is, let's say, that is absolutely getting paid nothing, or let's say they're on benefits, why should someone that is a fucking rich millionaire or whatever trump that person that's got nothing?
They're not trumping them, but they're
accessing the system quicker. They're accessing access to medical.
Just because someone can access the system quicker doesn't mean that they're jumping ahead of the queue.
Well, of course they are. In the concept, they are.
No. So hear me out. So the private sector is offering someone a service for a certain amount of money, and someone can afford to pay it, but someone can't afford to pay it. That's nothing to do with the person who can afford to pay it. He's just doing what's best for him. wouldn't say
100%. It's not questioning the person doing it, and nor should you. It's about
they
the
said it was a moral
principle
thing. They
that
said it was a
someone's.
moral-
It's a moral issue, and it
So-
absolutely is. The issue of morally is this is an NHS society, which is regardless of what you are or status, if you want to even use that word, is irrelevant.
Look,
If then is on the back of that, all the investment this country puts into the NHS and the consultants are all part of that system. If part of that system, it sounds like there's like a couple of days here for everyone to go off and earn a few quid, and it's all nice for everyone.
Let's look at it this way.
But the NHS
government-
doesn't have a monopoly on people working.
the
No, it's not
the
about
government-
working. They're not. These are consultants. They're not out like selling shares, mate. The consultants, they're providing a service for into society.
A consultant
You know,
is
they're
a
doing
job.
operations and shit. They're
This
not
is-
out doing like private deals.
I don't think you guys are looking at this in the way that it should be looked at. Look, we all
Right.
get the same minimum standard of care. But if I pay 10%,
Yeah, but in NHS we get it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. On the private, you'll get it next week on Thursday or Friday. We have to wait 6 months to 2 years, sometimes longer, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But you have to
Yes.
wait a couple of days, and it's on Thursday and Friday. It's a whole different system.
They don't just have to wait a couple of days. They wait the couple of days, but they pay more. They pay for it. It's not for free.
if my business
Yeah, but
fails,
the whole point is it's free for everyone. So if nobody paid, he'd be available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, like most other professionals,
It's not
social
all
workers,
consultants.
police officers,
Yeah.
firefighters. You don't see
Jamie.
firefighters off putting out fires for
We're not
farmers
talking
on
about
Thursday
firefighters,
and
we're talking
Friday.
about surgeons.
You won't see a farmer going and doing what you won't see a firefighter. You just won't because they're at work.
Jamie,
Why
you know what?
So,
the hospitals,
It's
the
not
NHS,
all
are
consultants,
struggling.
Jamie. It's
People
not
are
all of
dying.
them.
All these NHSs are really struggling. There should be at work for NHS.
You can't
But
force
yeah, but
people
it's not
to
all
work
of them
in a
then.
position where they don't want to work.
Well, they won't take the jobs then. It's full time or piss off. We're in a crisis. People depend on you. That's why you want it to be a doctor in it. The consultants.
You want to be a doctor because essentially anyone does any job for the earnings, for the money. You can
Not
talk about.
necessarily. There's a lot of people that could be earning a lot of money doing some absolute crazy
Can
jobs
I,
that they just wouldn't dream of doing.
Can I
Absolutely.
throw a curveball at you,
vocation.
Jamie?
Exactly.
Can I throw a curveball at you, Jamie? Do you think if I was
Go ahead.
paying do you think if people like the high taxpayers were paying the tax that they're paying, and the NHS was providing an excellent service, that they would feel the need to go and get a private system?
Wait,
I
should
think
that then you
NHS
should be?
would
Do you think if the money was being well
So
spent?
that then when I say good on you, then maybe not so good on you because you acknowledge that you're making it worse for everybody else, and you've actually had that thought.
No,
I
Jamie.
don't get that at all. How is
Jamie,
that
the NHS
Well,
budget.
he
Right,
says
I'm gonna put this to
Shit.
bed right. I'm gonna put this
Yeah.
to bed right fucking now. Right, the NHS, the budget in 2009 was 69 billion pounds a year. As it stands right now, it's 219 billion pounds a year. The inflation and the population in the interceding 15 years does not account for the additional cost. The NHS has more money per patient today than it had in 2009, and this is supposedly after a decade of austerity and going through the 2008 financial crisis.
But it's still failing.
The money is not being spent responsibly. They're
Correct.
taking more money off fucking
Correct.
everybody. And I have the opportunity
That's the
to
issue.
opt out of this fucking system. I have
Well, opt out
kids, I
completely
have a
then.
wife,
Opt out
and I have
completely. If you
expense,
feel that
and
you're
I
not
have
entitled, opt
excess
out
resources.
completely and get your health, like your A&E somewhere else then. Because you're pulling it
But
down. Yeah, we should be so
I
fucking
still
grateful
pay
we've got
taxes,
this money.
Angela. It's not that like I'm not paying taxes.
He's got to pay his tax. You can't
I'm
opt out
still
of it.
taxed, Angela. If I wasn't being taxed, fine. I'll pay for an emergency ambulance service. I'm still being taxed. I paid £37,000 in VAT last year, just in VAT, Angela.
Yeah.
How much of
And
that I
what's
missed
the
it in
medal? What do you
Yeah,
want
but
to
you can claim
medal?
that back if you've got your own business.
Do I get that back? If I get my
You can claim
37
the
grand
VAT
back,
back, yeah.
fine.
You're not
Fuck
the only
you. I
person
won't
that
have
pays that
peace.
much, you know.
I'll have fucking nothing. I don't need the
Oh,
roads. I'll fly around in a
we've got a
fucking
few high
helicopter.
taxpayers round here, you know. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Oh,
Angela,
yeah.
Angela,
Yeah.
what his point is he has to pay the tax for the NHS. That's his point.
Yeah.
So he's got no choice. He's working. He has to pay into the NHS. He wants the service that he's forced to pay into. But he thinks, which is I completely agree with, the service isn't good enough. It's not good enough. They waste money left, right, and centre, and that's why you can't get your appointments within 3 days. That it's nothing to do with people going private. Zero to do with that. It's to do with
it's got to be something to do with that, Mr. In Between, because if you need to have a consultant with, for example, a back specialist, and he's working private Thursdays and Fridays, and you're restricted out, you're 40% a week.
So we removed, this happened about 30 years ago when the doctors kicked off about it, and basically they removed the non-compete clauses out of all surgeons' contracts. So they was allowed to work for multiple medical in the, the NHS and the private sector.
So, if you was a doctor, if you was a fully qualified surgeon, and someone said to you've got two choices. You can either work for the NHS full time, or you can go somewhere else and work somewhere, full time and get paid double. What would you do?
I'm going to say for how it is though, or you can go and facilitate the private sector. Facilitate the private.
So would you say no to more money? Would you say no to more money?
I've got no problem, Mr. In Between.
Practically, as why did they remove those clauses? There's a lot of money saved as well for the NHS. If someone goes private, they're not going NHS. Brilliant for NHS finances. So it's not all one way as well. So when you think that big deal, you're like, remove all the clauses. I'm like, I wonder why.
Well, I totally get that, but think about it this way: the people who are going private are making space for the surgeons that are within the NHS that are staying there, so that they're taking away that burden from them.
Well, that's probably.
Dad knows best. One question: do you get paid if you stay in night in the NHS hospital by your company, private company?
Do I?
No, not you. Sorry, Dad knows best. Do you get paid by your healthcare company if you stay in NHS overnight?
I don't run a private healthcare company. I used to work.
No, but I meant about your insurance. Then people don't think you know what I'm talking about. So if you spend a night in hospital, in NHS hospital, do you get paid by your private healthcare insurance?
For like a loss of earnings budget and stuff like that.
No, because you're having to stay a night in the NHS hospital.
Well, they accrue like a cost from it. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but yeah, I think it's like £47 a night or something like that.
Yeah, so because you have to spend a night in an NHS hospital, you get paid for that because you're not spending a night in the private hospital, yeah?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, just clarifying that bit. And you also don't get A&E cover either. You also have access, don't you, to a GP within 24 hours, within an hour, with however long, yeah?
Is that the slumming?
Yeah, well, it's a private GP, yeah.
Yeah, it's which you probably have to contribute towards. Yeah, but
basically, Angela, what you're asking me,
what's she getting at? I don't know what she's saying.
I just don't understand why people want to try and pull the NHS apart anyway.
Secondly, do I pay a month?
I pay more than you for one person than you pay for your whole family.
Hang on,
Angela.
Yes,
that's
Jamie?
the £114.
What did you say? You paid more
what I pay
additionally
for my private healthcare coverage. And because I pay that additional £114 for my private healthcare coverage, the tax that I pay towards the NHS is only utilised for emergency cover. So anything other than emergency cover, including the dental care of my family, I pay for privately.
So do I.
Which means all of the tax I pay,
Angela does as well.
Other than the tax I pay that covers our emergency care goes.
So is that £114 including dental as well?
Not me. Yeah, but we don't have any.
Hey, I pay a lot of that on. I pay a lot of that on the SIGs, so that's something.
So, Mr. In Between, I have no problem with surgeons, right? If they was completely separate, if they weren't going to go work in private, work solely in private, work Monday to Friday in private. and then that leaves space then in the NHS for someone to come up and then work Monday to Friday in the NHS system. I just don't think there should be mixed.
That's the case. You won't get anyone working with the NHS because if you had the choice, mate, of earning 20 grand for a job or 100 grand for a job for the same work,
where they're going to get all this training from to become that you're not born a doctor?
No, you're not. You pay for it. You go through education. You pay for it
No,
yourself.
they get all bursaries. They're encouraged. They're encouraged to go.
There's only so many private businesses. You know, the private businesses will not, size-wise, will not weigh out the NHS. So there's only so many positions that surgeons can take.
What about working abroad?
In there? Additional to that as well, private health insurance and private hospitals, they sign up to what they call a DOS, right? So this is a list of operations that they are allowed to do. I can almost guarantee no private health insurance will cover brain surgeries, for example, open heart surgeries. They will not cover for. So that will fall onto the NHS. So you can't fully opt out of the NHS system because your private insurance will not cover for certain operations anyway.
Yeah, so the private health insurers have general exceptions. They also have general exceptions for things like ADHD and autism and other conditions as well. The general exceptions exist for a financial reason, which is again I agree why you can't opt out, but I'm still paying a stipend to not be a burden on the NHS for fucking everything else. Like I'm one less person in the NHS.
You might be on one hand, but you're still using a surgeon, which has probably got a massive caseload of waiting for him.
But you don't get to demand, like you don't get to put a financial gun to the surgeon's head and go, "Fuck you, work for the NHS." He gets to work for who he wants to work
No, but
for.
you wouldn't really think you'd have to. You don't see nurses saying, "No, I'm just working for this."
Out of the healthcare industry tomorrow, of course, that would be his only fucking option if he wants to live here.
Oh, don't get me started on nursing.
If you want to go do some private gig for next 2 years, Thursday, Friday, I bet they'd have a problem.
Don't get me started on nurses, man. Fucking hell. Now, people might think the sun shines out of their ass. I can tell you now, there's so many nurses that are actually independently contracting and are on £650 a day, right? And the thing why we're chucking loads of money at the NHS is because we've got all these independent contractors that are fucking nurses.
I don't get this. This might just be me. What's the problem with someone?
It's a moral and principle point of view.
No wrong with the issue, mate. Honestly, no. In the private sector, earn money. That's the whole principle of it. That's the whole point. But not when it affects life and health. Then it should be equal because that's the principle of that's British. That's being British. That's the NHS. That's the whole point of it.
Is having the freedom to work and sell your labour where you
in
want.
The private sector. I said that absolutely, and good luck to everyone that does that. And I think it's amazing.
But that's the case of special bleeding. You get to sell your profession how you see fit. You get to sell your profession how you see fit, except when it's in the national.
All right, go do your wife, do some private work up Thursday and Friday and see how our employer likes it in NHS because it's good for consultants. So it should be good for nurses. What about the porters while we're at it?
Imagine a teacher doing it.
McDonald's Friday, Saturday. Can they
Porters, nurses, cleaners, they are free to sell their labour where they want. There should be no restrictions.
The teacher's going to be a bit
teachers can go private.
Private tuition on a Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, and we shouldn't give surgeons tax breaks then as well as, and also they're allowed to retire early as well on what you call it. Fuck that.
Why?
Why? Why should they get tax breaks? Why should they get tax breaks compared to the normal person?
Dad knows best than Angela. They're fucking paying it all.
What tax breaks? Well, now I am curious. What tax breaks do surgeons get?
Yeah, I've not heard this.
But tax break, surgeons pay less in tax than cost of the right. Obviously, fall into the high income earning bracket. That they will not get as tax. So let's use an example. someone that is earning 200 grand a year, let's say, right, and a doctor that's earning 200 grand a year, the doctor will get taxed less.
Well, why? What's the mechanism for that?
Because they had us over a barrel. They basically said, change our contracts and give us these concessions. Otherwise, what they were threatening was basically, we'll fuck off to Australia. We'll fuck off abroad and take it out of the UK.
Yeah. So, how did they change? Like, I'm asking. Like, I'm fine. I'll take that on face value. But how did they change the tax bracket? What did they do?
Well, like I said, they threatened the government and basically said you'll have loads of doctors then that will go abroad. So you've got to give us these concessions where we are allowed to work for the private sector, and also, like I say, I think it's we will get a cheaper tax rate.
But you understand
we will get we were also allowed to access pensions earlier. I believe they can access pensions at something like 55 compared to 65.
So, which is what I thought you were going to say, that they're allowed to retire earlier.
Yeah,
I think is the thing. And then obviously because they retire earlier, if they buy an annuity, then they're drawing down on their pension earlier, which because they're not earning, it would have an impact of reducing their tax rate. But it's not like the government went, okay, we're just going to tax you less. Like if you earn 100, like over 60 grand, we're going to tax you 40% instead of 50% or whatever.
Well,
that's like what they did. Right?
One rule for one rule for all, right?
No, it doesn't work like
that. Firstly, that's not ubiquitous to doctors. And also, when it comes to fucking surgeons, I'm not entirely convinced that I want a geriatric surgeon, if I'm being honest with you.
What makes you think they're going to be geriatric?
Well, I might maybe want them teaching, but I don't actually want them operating.
Do you not think they're smart enough to realise that they shouldn't be operating, they wouldn't be operating?
But you don't think just like surgery isn't just about intellect, right?
Obviously, you don't want a surgeon that's got shaky hands, do you?
I think
I want a surgeon that's got dexterity, their ability to go through a surgery. A surgeon that's got the ability to do a 14-hour shift. I mean, Jesus.
Oh, it's not an easy job when you see some of the stuff and the hours that they're putting in and under the. Wow, such an hard job, and they literally do run most of these hospitals. Am I wrong? They take a very lead role.
That's not to say that I don't want an experienced surgeon. Obviously, I want an experienced surgeon. And it's not even necessarily to draw a correlation between like early retirement. That might have just been leveraged because they could leverage it.
It's called negotiation.
Maybe, just maybe, we should be training. If you want an NHS doctor to be tied to the NHS system, then maybe the NHS should invest in the training of the NHS doctor in the first place. They used to fucking do this. Nurses and doctors used to get bursaries and they used to be required to work for the NHS for an X period of time, or they would be required to pay the cost of their
dentistry. It's happening, John. It is starting to go that way. I know it's definitely happening in dentistry. It is happening, and I bet if I look into this a little bit more, because I think this private connection to when the NHS were announced, I reckon there'll have been some lobbying going on, and I bet there's some history here, and it'll be to do with. Well, we'll find out.
It'll be to do with workers' rights. That's what it'll be to do with, because I think they're trying to bring this back in where, let's say, we need loads of doctors. We're aware that we need loads of doctors in here, so let's pay for the university. Let them go be doctors. And then we try to lock them into a contract and basically say, right, we paid you tuition, so you are now locked into the NHS now for 10 years or something alike. And then what they'll do is just go, workers' rights, I can do whatever I want.
All told, my mum paid into the system for a whole life. My dad paid into the system for a whole life. I've paid into the system for the 42 years that I've been existent. My wife has. She works for the NHS. My wife's parents have paid into the system, and the system as it stands right now is fucking failing us. It is leaving us behind. I can't get what I need when I need it on the system. Like I can't get bins used to get collected once a week, and the binman used to come into the back garden, pick up the bin, drag it down the drive, heave it into the bin, and then put the bin back. And it used to happen once a week before they were on fucking wheels and before the van did it for them. And somehow the system is now more inefficient despite costing more. And that is the same with every system. Same with the NHS. There's more people, there's less people using the NHS relative to the amount of money that is going in it. There are less people using the police relative to the amount of money that is going into it. There is more money per person going into the system today.
Yeah, but you did acknowledge this a little bit earlier. Whilst you look at the price of in the supermarkets and the rents and everything's gone up, so of course there needs to be more investment to even get to meeting the current investment. So to even match the current investment, you're going to need to top up all that to bring it in line with how everything's gone up. And then you'd need that extra investment on top of that, and that's where we're not at. We're nowhere near that level.
I didn't say the cost of living wasn't going up. The cost of living is going up. What I'm saying is, service delivered for money put in, once you've accounted for the RPI and the number of people that the service is being delivered for, the service has fallen like a shit from heaven. And I've got loads of people telling me that there is something wrong about me paying for a premium service.
You've not got loads. No one said it's unfair. We've actually said it's
no. I'm not just referring to this panel. Like I have it in my personal life as well. Like I have people telling me.
I don't know if you're going to see much value when I think about it, actually, because what you're going to be at the NHS when shit hits the fan, mate. That's whose door you're going to be running to. When the shit hits the fan, it'll be 999 you'll ring. Yeah. And it'll be the NHS you end up at. Maybe you couldn't skip the queue for a hip appointment or some shit. But
Jamie, if I fall off a ladder tomorrow and I break my leg or I break my hip, the ambulance that turns up is going to be the NHS, and I'm going to get the emergency care. They're the ones that are going to put me in the cast, and then I'm going to be home tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to be going, well, shit, I need to be back to work as quick as is humanly possible. And I'm going to phone my GP and I'm going to go, can I get an appointment to get a referral into the musculoskeletal surgeon, the orthopedic surgeon? And they're going to go, well, we can't get you into an appointment for the orthopedic surgeon for 6 weeks. And then when I get in to see the orthopedic surgeon, they're going to go, well, I can't get you in for surgery because it's not emergency for another 12 months. Or I'm going to activate the private healthcare and I'm going to be in to see the orthopedic surgeon tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to be into surgery within the week. And that's going to put me back to work in my private business, which puts money back into the tax coffers and keeping my kids under house and home within the next 6 months, as opposed to waiting 2 years to be back to work, at which point I'm going to be 45 years old.
You could be on PIP as well in that time. You'd end up on PIP. Yeah. 2 year off on sick, PIP.
I've never drawn welfare in my life.
It's not an important operation. Why would you insist to have it done? Because if it was important and you needed it, then it would be done immediately.
So you think if I go to the NHS and go, I'm self-employed and I need to be a padder on Wednesday, they're going to give a single shit about that. Have you ever been in contact with the NHS in your life?
If it was that urgent, they wouldn't let you home, would they?
Of course they would. They do it all the time.
I've got a bad back, and his back has fallen off a ladder. Are they going to let him home?
Yes.
100%.
And for the GP then to turn around and say, yeah, you get an appointment over many months because it's not important.
Angela, they discharge.
And then you go hold on a minute, because that is negligence at its best here.
It happens. It happens all the time.
If then a consultant turns around and says you need to be operated on straight away, that is like an issue.
Part of the reason why my dad died and the reason why they discharged him, or part of the reason why they discharged him with internal bleeding, and they wrote on his notes that it was idiopathic, i.e. without a known cause. And they discharged him anyway with internal bleeding.
So what happened there was I assume, is they couldn't. They didn't know what was wrong with him, so they only treated the symptoms. And when they can't treat the symptoms anymore, they'll just send you home because they don't know what's wrong with you. Or if they do know what's wrong with you, like you've hurt your back, you've hurt your knee, they will say, "Well, we've done enough for you." My missus and me, we was in A&E for 12 hours. She was in absolute chronic pain. She had something wrong with her back. They gave her paracetamol and fucked her off home. That's how bad the NHS is. If you can go private, fucking go private. Fucking hell.
but you can't go private for them situations. These are just like appointments that the consultants.
But that's okay because we've already paid into it, Jamie. We've already paid.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be in that situation though, where you're getting fobbed off at A&E. That disastrous service is what needs to be focused on. It's disgraced. And if she had got help, she'd be in corridor for 2 days. It's sick. But
so it's nothing to do with the private sector. It's the state of the NHS.
Yeah, it's the NHS that's lacking. The other debate is the consultants. I think there's more to that. I think there's an agreement with this consultants. It's the NHS, right money saver. If you can go private, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's win-win. So I think there's more to it. Because they could easily stop 100%. If the NHS is only employing consultants who aren't working private, they will be doing their jobs.
But you can't force labour. That's the problem. You can't force someone to say, right, you've
No,
got to come.
They kind of do dominate the market scene as we are an NHS society. So
and that's the
it would
problem
be a
we
bit
live in
stupid
the
if they didn't work for it, wouldn't they?
Capitalist society. That's a problem. There's no socialist state, is there, anywhere in the world that we can put it against?
Like the NHS is a socialized system which is nested within a capitalist hierarchy. So
it's got socialist elements.
Then you need the economic growth that comes from the capitalist system. If you want a socialist NHS, then what you're basically saying is you don't want an NHS.
The fundamental core of the NHS is capitalist. The fundamental core of the NHS is capitalist because it's all paid for by you and me.
It was strung together from a capitalist system in the first place. Yeah. All the foundation trust and the CCGs that we have today exist from a conglomeration of pre-existing like corporations that were just like nailed together by
the socialist element of the NHS, and it's conflated loads by people to say, oh, it's a core, it's socialist. No, it's not. Yep. Socialism is we all get a say in it. We all get a say in what happens in the NHS. No, we don't. The fucking government get a say in it, and that's it. The only say we have is by electing the government that do us dirty every single election year.
Well, the socialist principle is free at point of use, right?
It's not free. It's not free at the point of use. It's been paid for.
No, in fairness, Big G did say at point of use. It's not like you're expected to hand over a check or a credit card. Yeah. When
you've already done it. You've already done the handing over of the money. You've paid your tax. It's not free at the point of use.
That's the whole point, to take away that worry. And you wouldn't want to be thinking, shall I go and get this treatment because I'm a bit skint?
Yeah,
I mean,
but the principle is it's not free at the point of use because we paid for it. So that's a socialist talking point. That free at the point of use.
When you
we pay for it,
benefits, aren't they?
Is reasonable to say it's not free at the point of use. I would say practically it is, because when you turn up, you like there's no copay, there's no check, there's no nothing like that. And even if you end up costing more than you've paid in tax, there's no like medical bankruptcy. So it is free at the point of use. It's not free.
How is it free at the point of use when you've already paid for it? How? Explain that.
Someone might not have paid for it. Someone might not be working, paying tax, for example, and then they can still go and use it free at the point of use, right?
When you pay for goods, you pay tax in this country. No one.
Value-added tax, isn't it? It's completely different to.
It's not free, and you might actually pay for it and never use it, Mr. In Between, right? You might pay into it and never use it, but if you do go to it, they don't say put your pin in. It's not. You don't have to pay to get in there.
And because the reason they say don't give us a check upon entries, you've already paid, mate. So it's not free. It isn't. The word should be
so that no one has to turn up and prove their wealth. So you don't have to turn up and go, yeah, I paid in me, mate, or My granddad paid in, so I'm good. It's free at point of use. No questions asked. It's a help.
What does free mean? What does the word
No,
free
no
mean?
payment, no money
No one paid for
exchange.
it.
Gracias. Nice.
So
one.
yeah, exactly. So
Use anybody as
when
well.
you pay for something, it ceases to be free. So in your tax, wherever you pay it, whether
Well,
you
that's
pay
why
it
it's
in-
not just free. It's free at point of use.
Yeah, there's a caveat there. Come on, you must accept the caveat. You can't just ignore that, surely.
I'm struggling with the word free here because
Well,
it's not
Everyone who
free.
comes into the country
If
gets
it were
it
free, it'd just say the
A&E.
NHS is free.
Let me try this.
But
Not alienable.
Belter.
Is that all right? Not alienable at the point of use. Like it's paid for somewhere else, but you don't pay for it at the point at which you use it.
It's not
Is that
just
reasonable?
paid for somewhere else. It's not just paid for somewhere. You and me have paid for it. The government didn't magic the money out of the air. We've paid into it. So at the point of you cross that threshold, you've gone across the entrance of that hospital.
Yeah.
You've paid to be there. So it wasn't free at the point of entry. You already paid to get in. You might have paid the taxi to get you there.
But it's not a gift, is what I'm getting.
So it should say welcome home, really, shouldn't it? It should say welcome home.
Let's say for
Come on.
argument's sake, look, let's try this in between. Like in principle, the way the system ideally should work is that let's say you're a 4-year-old baby or a 4-year-old kid, and you end
Yeah.
up with a broken arm, and you
Yeah.
need £6,000 worth of medical care.
Yeah.
You have not paid into the system at all at this point. You've paid no tax.
That's
right?
correct.
But by the time you, hopefully, when you pass away of old age at 96 or whatever,
Yeah.
you've paid £100,000 into the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And the money that you've paid into the healthcare system via tax
Mm.
eclipses your cost, right?
Yeah.
So whilst it was free at the point of use, i.e., when you hadn't paid into the system at the age of 4, you've ultimately paid for the system as a whole. And would you agree with that?
Well,
would that be a reasonable?
That's why I
that
chose
was-
my words carefully. That's why I said free at the point of use.
So you take. Let me come back to that then. If you're 6 years old, you're not taking yourself to the hospital with a broken leg. Mum and dad is, or your carer is, right?
Yeah.
And someone's paid for it there. Someone's paid for it.
But what if you're an orphan?
If you look,
you're still going to be cared for, boys.
No, I get that in between, but for this, you can treat each person, each generation as discrete units. Whilst there's overlap, I agree practically there's overlap, but if you set the overlap aside, then for all intents and purposes, we're discrete units. So just focus on the discrete unit of a person paying into the system.
But that's too broad. That's too broad. You're talking about young people. You're talking about a 6-year-old. You're talking about someone who is in someone else's care. They can't make decisions for themselves. They can't decide whether to go private or go NHS. They're doing what mum or dad or carer say.
You cost more to the NHS in your early years, and you cost more to the NHS in your later life than you do in the middle. Like I'm like the most tax that I will ever pay is going to be in my sort of middle-aged, middle to later years when I require almost no healthcare because I've looked after myself. I'm in fairly good health, right? That's when I'm paying the most tax. So I'm front loading the system for my old age, right?
Everyone else.
But I'm going to cost the system more than I'm paying in. Now, in an ideal world, that's the way it should work. Now, because our population statistics are upended and we've employed a shitload of people that don't pay into the system, haven't paid into the system traditionally, obviously the economics are fucked up. What I'm talking about is an ideal system. Also, the system doesn't really value money, so it pisses it up the wall. It wastes money like nothing else on earth. I mean, like the NHS wastes money like a middle-aged businessman in the 1980s snorting coke. It's ridiculous.
Welcome on the panel, Laura. Good to have you.
Oh, thank you. How are you doing?
Good.
NHS,
how's it treated you, Laura?
Say again.
Have you had a good experience with the NHS?
Mixed bag, really. Mixed bag over the years. I've had some great experiences, and then I've had some shockingly shit ones, to be honest with you. But I've been hearing like parts of what you've been saying, but I have been in and out. for the last hour or so. But I was going to say that from what I've heard, when you've been mentioning like NHS and private healthcare, I've been NHS all my life so far. Never say never, of course. You never know. I might end up going private one day. You never know. But at the moment, no.
If you had a big bag of cash, would you be all over it? I think.
I don't know. Maybe I'd have to do more research into it, to be honest with you. But I was going to say that the only experience I've ever really had with private healthcare is when I had one of my surgeries over 10 years ago. The first one, they messed me up. And then the second one, they fixed the problems that the first one messed up. Basically, the first surgeon messed up. And he was actually NHS Manchester Hospital that messed me up. And then he was actually a private hospital in Stoke-on-Trent, where I was living near to at the time when I was with my ex-boyfriend for nearly 10 years. So and I actually had a very good experience with the private. They looked after me like a dream, you know. I was given the nicest sandwich ever.
Cappuccino.
In the hospital too. Very nice. Smoked salmon, Jamie, and cream cheese, all freshly made.
Oh, bloody hell. But how about the medical care?
Medical care. They looked after me well, was great. And I was at one point was in utter agony. And when I've been in utter agony before or after surgery, when I've been with NHS, they've just left me to suffer for quite some time. Whereas these guys, you know, they heard me screaming and they came running. I didn't even have to press my button. So, do you know what I mean? They treat me like a dream. But then saying that, anytime I've had paramedics seen to me, pick me up, whatever, they've always been incredible, the paramedics. I've never, ever had a bad paramedic experience, ever. They've always been great. Doctors, though, and nurses, mixed bag again with NHS. I've had some incredible ones, but then I've had some shit ones too. But a recent experience I had a few months ago, summertime last year, was when I was hanging around for hours on end, like most of us were, and I was in a terrible way, been vomiting for days on end, and was really not well, and found out I actually had pneumonia on top as well. So I was in a pretty bad way. And I ended up being left in the corridor. What was it for now? Hang on. I was in nearly all weekend, and I was basically in the corridor for it worked out to be just over 24 hours of that whole stay. I was there, and I was there nearly all weekend. So that was terrible because there was space, but they were just not making the room for me to get over there. They were too busy doing other things instead of putting me in the space where I should have been.
Too busy dealing with John.
Yeah, John, fuck's sake.
John turned up and they're like, John's here, Laura, sorry, John's in.
I turned up with my gold badge on and they went straight to the front.
Fucking gold badge, eh?
His visa.
Yeah. But yeah,
if you don't mind me asking, Laura, where were you? Where were you treated in Manchester? Because that's where I used
Manchester.
to be.
That's where I'm from, originally Greater Manchester. But I was treated at my hospital that I was actually born and raised at, believe it or not.
Withenshaw or Greater Manchester.
He was in Ashton-under-Lyne, Tameside Hospital. Tameside Hospital. Yeah, they were the ones who fucked me up, basically. Excuse my French. And then it was the ones in Stoke-on-Trent that fixed part of the problem that they made, and then the rest they just had to leave for the time being. And then I might have to have this surgery again in the near future, but we're waiting to see after some scan results I've just had recently. So we might have to go through all this again, but it really depends on scan results and what me and the gynae decide to do. So yeah. But again, I've only ever had one experience of private, so I can't really compare the two when I feel like I've had so much with the NHS, but only one experience with private healthcare. I don't know tons about it though, to be honest with you, private healthcare. Bits and bats, yes, but not much. I'd have no idea how much you'd have to pay or anything like that to say be a part of Bupa or whatever. I ain't got a gyro glue.
Bupa is. Bupa is our current coverer, the company that covers us on my family currently. But we've gone through a broker, which means that we can move between Bupa or AXA or anywhere like that, and they're not allowed to take into consideration previous medical history.
Okay, cool.
If you were to move from Bupa to AXA and you've been treated under Bupa, and you've not gone through a broker, if you've just gone independently from one to the other,
Mhm.
if you move brokers, then they can go, well, actually, you've got a pre-existing condition with Bupa, so we'll exempt it.
Right.
But if you go through the broker that's got a pre-existing relationship with all of them, then you can avoid some of the pre-existing, like the exemptions stuff.
Right.
You
Oh,
sure you're not on commission, John? Are you
Yeah, I
sure
was
you're
going to
not
say,
on
do you work
commission?
for him, love?
Fucking
No, I
Martin.
just because I used to work for a private medical company that used to interface with brokers and
Okay.
also the NHS. I'm familiar with
Mhm.
how the system works. So you're
Mm.
better off with going through a broker, and actually you'll get a better price for the broker, because the broker,
Right.
by virtue of being like competitive, they'll shunt a load of work through Bupa. So like if I'd have just gone to Bupa and put our informations into the Bupa website, I'd have ended up paying 180 quid a month for my family.
Wow.
But I got
doing
it
it the way you've done it through the
£114 a month
broker.
through a broker.
And
Because
sorry,
the
how much
broker,
was that through the broker? Sorry.
and so I have two children. I've got a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old. When we took out the insurance, it was a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's my wife. I'm 42 this year. My wife's 38 this year.
Okay,
And
cool.
our family insurance is £114 a month, and that covers everything
What was that?
routine.
Sorry, I just heard 14. Sorry, what was that?
114 a month
For all of
and that,
you.
for all of us, not per person, all of us.
Wow.
That's
Two
really good.
children and then two adults. Two adults,
Two
two
children, two
one dad,
adults.
two kiddies. Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
we have a couple of exemptions. So one of my exemptions is I have keratoconus, which is a severe stigmatism, so I wear contact lenses.
Same
my
here.
wife-
Yeah, I do too. I've got astigmatism as well in my left eye, mate. So yeah, I'll be the similar one to you with that one. Yeah. Go on.
And my wife, she's got a thyroid condition, and she also has fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition.
Yes, I have the same one. Yes, I have fibro as well as other things as well. Yes.
But because of my wife's thyroid condition and the fact that she works for the NHS and that's already managed under the NHS,
Right.
she gets
Yeah.
free prescriptions with the NHS anyway.
Fair
So
enough.
even
Yeah.
though that's an exemption, it's covered under the NHS regardless.
Fair play. Not bad. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
The NHS covers all of our emergency care and all of our routine care and our dental care, with other than these two exceptions for myself and my wife, is covered
Right.
by private healthcare.
Okay. Right. Okie dokie. So right.
And
So I'm
Well,
assuming
the last time I needed a consult appointment, it was it was actually for a neurological condition for my lad. He had one of his pupils was over dilating. It wasn't lining up with the other one. We went to
Right.
the GP. The GP said, well, we can refer him to the local hospital, to the neurological department, and they said, we'll send a letter. If you don't hear back from them in 6 weeks, come back to us. And I went, and what do we do in 6 weeks? Then we'll refer you again, and then you have to wait another 6 weeks. And I went, fuck that, and picked
Bloody
up the phone
hell.
call for private healthcare.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he was seeing the neuro guy within 48 hours. And he took
Wow.
one look at him, did the checks, and went, okay, it could be this. It's really, really, really unlikely that it's this. But if it is this, it's quite serious. Come back
Right.
to me in 4 weeks and we'll do another checkup. We went back 4 weeks later and they said, yeah, it's not serious.
Oh, that's good.
He's basically he's got like a version of a nystagmus, is what they call it.
Right. Okay.
But either way, we had the answer within 4 weeks, and that was after 2 follow-up appointments. With the NHS,
Right.
we could have been waiting 12 or 18 weeks
Yeah.
just to see the consultant.
Months, yeah, just to see the bloody consultant.
And-
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I
that's
want to
where
bounce, Jamie. Thanks for having me on, mate.
I'm going to bounce as well. I think I'm going to end up ill. I'm going to end up with that.
Oh God, don't say that. Don't jinx yourself, love.
In a bit. Good
Oh, I
talk,
was just wanting to see what I was going to say
Cheers,
next. Then. Oh, right.
Listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okie dokie. We'll have to carry this conversation on at some point over on my life, then at some point, because this is interesting. This.
All over on your.
Oh, God, I've only just bloody done a live stream before, mate. I did nearly 4 freaking hours. My throat is screwed over here. I might need to get this throat of mine checked, especially trying to get back to be singing soon. So, yeah. But yes, thank you for having me for a wee bit. Appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you, dear.
I've had beeper. Can I say I've had beeper since I was born? So therefore, I've
Have
had no
you?
pre-existing
Okay.
conditions.
Have you got
Hopefully
a
they'll
gold
say
card?
endometriosis.
You still have a gold
Not
card at this point.
Scooby.
Things.
What you say,
Scooby,
John?
Scooby, we've
Yeah.
had this policy for the last 4 years, and it's still £114 a month. So if it was
Oh, that's true. I was going to ask you that next. Is it still the same price now? I take it for all four of you, yeah?
if it's an introductory offer, they fucked up.
Fair enough. Well, it's still a good deal, and it's compared to what you would have got with others. So yeah, with the finger, so yeah.
Yeah, mate. Cheers for having us on, pal.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't mention about my habits during the daytime, Big G. Crikey, sorry. He's gone. What did you say?
Yes, he's gone. Oh, I've had a laugh, me. I don't know about you.
Oh, good. I'll have to listen back. I'll have to watch back.
Cheers, Mickey, Jerry, Deborah, Gaspipe. Nice one.
What
Nice
did
one,
you
John.
say then?
Yeah, everybody.
What did you say?
Oh, I remind what I said now. Let me think. What did I say? I said
about I've been covered since I was born, and you said something about, was it a badge?
Oh yeah, you got a gold card. Booper gold card.
Oh no. Oh god. No, I think it's platinum.
Oh, platinum.
I think it is.
Got the poosh one.
Well, no. I think that's the policy name of it. I think something like that.
Platinum.
I've got no card in, but in that thing behind in that chat.
Oh yeah, I put that all night.
Well, and in fairness, Angel or Angela, if the system was functioning, I in principle, I would like to not have to be paying for private healthcare. If the system was working for everybody, I wouldn't. In the same way as if education worked, I don't pay for private education for my kids. I don't feel the need. But also, I kind of treat the system there because I went, where's the best school? Okay, and I literally bought a house next door to the best school, best comprehensive school. It was cheaper than paying for private education, just to buy a house in the best area that I could afford.
Is there can you put a price on education?
Oh, no, can you put a price? There's another debate. We'll pick that up another time.
Debate for another day, love.
Thank you very much. Right, sorry, I dropped her off. I thought she were out. Were you going to say?
I was just saying, if you're the same pet.
Yes, good to see you too. Come early next time. You always catch us.
Oh, well, we'll try when I'm not doing a live stream. Yes. All right, darling. Not a problem. Take care. Bye for now.
John, thank you. It's been a great contribution again. Loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry if I got.
No apologies needed. It's been spot on, man. It's been spot on.
But no, seriously. Apologies if I did get a bit.
I don't think you did.
I don't
think you did. I don't remember you doing so. Anyway, you're very welcome, Flora. No, never overthink it. I certainly won't.
Well, I'm gonna leave you to do your tirage, Emmy. I'll catch you later.
Bye bye. Excellent stuff. Thank you, everyone. It's going to be a quick tirage, John calls it. I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Bye bye. Cheers, everyone.